Okay, everything should be ready to roll. Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. Today, it's been about a month since our last Mario Kart community stream, and we're doing another one here today. How's everyone doing? I'm doing wonderful. I am doing great today, because for those who didn't see my post on the Discord server, just last night, as in like around midnight, I finished editing all 18 episodes of the secret project. So that's done. Now all I need to do is put finishing touches on them, get them uploaded, and all that jazz. So yeah, and tomorrow is going to be the day when the final thumbnail teaser for the project goes live in the Discord server. You saying voice still isn't working? Unfortunately, no. I would like it to. It's kind of hard to go over, but the way that I record console games is not quite the same as the way that I record PC games. It's much more convenient and to do Discord voice chat for PC games. So like when we do the Infinite community streams, that's very straightforward. For console games, it's a whole thing. Like, for instance, you may remember my Pokemon Sword co-op, well, kind of co-op Let's Play. I don't know if you can would you call it a co-op Let's Play? Because we weren't really playing the game together. She was just there. She was just co-commentating while I played. Although she was still playing the game on her end of things, so I don't know, however you want to call that. The way I got that to record was I recorded the Discord call that we were in separately and then stitched that together with my commentary after the fact because of the way that my recording setup is. So it's a bit of an inconvenience to do that for these streams, but I'm hoping to get something sorted out one day. We could always hook up the Nintendo Switch Online Electro Kit with the Spaghetti Noodle voice chat. Yeah, of course, we do always have that alternative. We can always do that. It's my like to create a room. So yeah, we're gonna do Mario Kart today. Mario Kart, and for those who don't know, in case you've been living under a rock, there were some new courses that got added recently, and I'm definitely going to be trying to vote for them as much as possible, just so that we have some new courses to race around on. So that's the game plan. And wait for my Tropical Freeze Let's Play in my mystery project. It will not be a mystery for much longer. In fact, 1 week from today, the trailer goes live. I just put the finishing touches on the trailer this morning, actually. So, we're almost there. A little bit longer, and then it all will be revealed. Anyway, if you want to join me and not leave me here all by my lonesome, the room should be open, in theory, assuming everything hasn't broken. If you are online and able to play, we are more than welcome to have you in. You can join my room. If you're just joining a stream for the first time and you want to play, then you can have my friend code. Here you go. You can pause the stream to note this down if you want. You can just add me as a friend, and then you should be able to join my room from there. So that's how this is gonna roll out. You saw a clip from Halo Episode 5. What's the room code? Do you need a room code? I thought previously you could just join me just through being my friend. I was under the impression that all you needed was just, it's not appearing right now? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Then we'll try again. We will try to create another room and see if that goes any better. You just have one question. Why do the pre-rendered cutscenes from the games look more real than the live-action series? Because they actually cared when they made the cutscenes for the games, but no one gave a shit about anything when they were making that stupid show. So it'll work now? Yeah, hopefully. I don't really have a backup. I guess my backup plan can be to create a tournament. Tournament. Because I didn't really have any backup. I didn't account for this not working. Also, see someone named Squid in chat, which reminds me. The Octo expansion for Splatoon 2 was added to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, which is neat. Halo Infinite roadmap, yep, I saw it. Create a tournament. That didn't work too well last time, but I guess we can do it this time. But first, we'll do this. The Halo Infinite roadmap, yep, I saw it. It was released yesterday. In fact, it was actually very interesting timing with something that I was doing at that given point in time. But, yeah, I saw it. I have seen the Halo Infinite roadmap, and I've seen a lot of discourse about it, and I'm just very fed up with the Halo community at this point in time. Just because it seems like a lot of people are... I don't know how to phrase this, but... I really don't know how to phrase what I want to say. But... What we've seen does not seem... Like, obviously, Halo Infinite is not in the state that it should be in. It's unfortunate that it launched in the state that it is. And clearly, the multiplayer component needed it at least an extra year to work up, to cook in the oven. But it doesn't mean that what we're getting isn't satisfactory. Like, there's a lot of people seem to be blowing this out of proportion, calling for A, the death of Halo Infinite, calling for B, 343 to be removed as the company working on Halo Infinite. And just generally speaking, a lot of very harsh negative discourse towards the roadmap with seemingly little nuance for discussion. It's very tiring. Because what we've seen doesn't look dissatisfying in any discernible way. Anyway, we're gonna try this room one last time. I don't know why it wouldn't be showing up, but we'll give it a shot, I suppose. If it doesn't work after this, I'll just make a tournament. But the problem with making tournaments is that there's problems that come with that, as we discovered from the first, I think, 2 times we tried to do this. What's my friend code? You can just I can show it again. It's not that big of a deal. The friend code is up here. You can pause the stream there and add it. You're hyped beyond hype for the Tropical Freeze Let's Play on Monday. I hope you enjoy it. I've certainly been having a blast playing it, that's for damn sure. Can't seem to join. That's odd. I do not know why, because I clearly have created. You can see the room has clearly been created, but it's weird. Switch didn't even say that I'm lying. Oh, okay. In that case, give me 1 second. I might have a way to fix this. Was my microphone off that entire time? That's nice. Well, I just went on a long tirade about the Halo Infinite roadmap. Basically, there's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that seems to inform the current state of development for Halo Infinite. It's clear that something very catastrophic happened behind the scenes that we just don't know. Well, I mean, if you look into development yourself, you can kind of see some stuff that's been going on in terms of how the game was made, and it's unfortunate that we're in the state that we're in, but, you know, there's people calling for the death of 343 as a studio. There's also people calling for Halo to be given to someone else and saying that the game is dying if not already dead, which is just patently incorrect. If I can still boot up the game and find a match within seconds, that's not a dead game. A dead game is something where you wait 10 minutes and you still haven't found a match, which is called Halo 5. Is it unfortunate that there's no content right now? Of course, it's very unfortunate, but also, I think it kind of speaks to... Attention span sounds condescending. It speaks to where people's priorities lie, because it's not like the game is broken in terms of its functionality. The game's core gameplay is phenomenal. It just needs more content, and it's much easier to fix a problem where you have a really solid base with just lacking exterior content than it is to fix a problem where the core is just rotten, and then no matter how many bells and whistles you add onto it afterwards, it's just beyond salvaging. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Halo Infinite roadmap. I've seen a lot of people blow it way out of proportion. I've also seen, because 343 has this thing called Priority Zero, where basically they prioritize the mental well-being of their workers above all else. Even if it means getting something out the door later than they intended, it means that they're going to be focusing on making sure no one is crunched, no one's overworked at all, which is good. That's what should be the case. But it seems like people are not too supportive. I think I saw a comment saying that if you guys actually worked hard, you'd be able to get content out every single week. I don't think people understand how game development works when I read stuff like that, and it just goes to show the lack of care for the people. The lack of care for people making the product and only focusing on the actual product itself, which is unfortunate. Also, something else we saw on that roadmap is that Campaign Co-op's release date was, or at least targeted release date was confirmed for August of this year, which is obviously later than I would like to wait. I was kind of expecting it would be out June or July-ish, but, you know, it's... Ideally, I would have been able to play through the campaign cooperatively the day that the campaign launched, but sadly that's not the state that we're in. And I can imagine it's clear why co-op is taking so long, because for an open world Halo game, it's obviously going to take... There's a lot more things to be considered when it comes to how checkpoints work, how the map loads in, how Spartan cores work, in terms of whether the Spartan cores are restricted to one person, or for instance, if I get one Spartan core, can I use it on one upgrade and then my cooperative partner uses it on a different upgrade, or is it a shared upgrade pool for both of us? There's things like that I imagine have taken up a lot of conversation in 343 as to how they're actually going to make all this stuff work, but I'm sure it'll be worth the wait. I'm sure that when it eventually comes out, it'll be more than worth the wait. And then Forge is going to be releasing, or at least it's targeted to release in September, and that I imagine is going to help a lot, because Forge will puts the creativity in the hands of the players and allows them to make cool stuff, because Forgers are really talented people. The people who make custom content for Halo are immensely talented, especially when you give them powerful resources to be able to make the content that they want. Like, Halo 5's Forge tool is above and beyond in terms of its functionality, so... And the Halo Infinite apparently is going to be... From what we've heard, Halo Infinite's Forge is essentially going to be like a mini game engine in and of itself with potentially scripting features. So if you put scripting in the hands of the Halo mod community, all bets are off. Forge will carry the game's content to infinity and beyond. So, also for anyone joining, we're trying to prioritize voting for the new courses. Of course, I'm not going to force you to vote for the new courses if you don't want to. But since the booster pack came out, we are trying to vote for... We're trying to play on the newer courses as opposed to the ones we've played many times before. Might be able to join soon, Wolves. Hopefully you can. Hopefully you can make it soon enough. What's my favorite DLC course? Favorite DLC course is probably Ninja Highway, I guess. Ninja Highway took me by, or Hideaway or whatever, took me by surprise when I first played. That just absolutely blew me away. I think that is far and away the best one of the bunch. Although I'm definitely still impressed with the other ones. Paris Promenade also, with the whole switching... Paris Promenade and the other one, the one that opens up the second cup of the DLC courses was also... The fact that it switches courses, or switches directions, switches the layout of the track around the third lap is... I didn't even know that it happened, because I was expecting the turn to go one way when I reached the third lap the first time, and then it didn't, and I thought I just remembered the track incorrectly from my first two laps, but no, it's because the course actually changed for the third lap, which is a very neat addition. So those are also contenders. There's just a lot, I mean, obviously visually, I think I've talked about this before. Visually speaking, the course is at least something to be desired, and as far as Coconut Mall is concerned specifically, the lack of cars moving is a very strange decision that I don't know why it was made, but, you know, it's, aside from that, there's bits and pieces of each of the tracks that I'm not very content with, but overall, they're still fun to play on, which is, at the end of the day, what matters more than anything else. I'm not particularly bothered by the visual fidelity, so long as the courses are actually fun to play on. You love the song plays Coconut Mall? Oh, of course. Coconut Mall's background track is just iconic. Always has been. I mean, it's always been memed to death in many videos, but the track itself is still a blast to listen to. The track itself is fun to play, and then the track music is still a blast to listen to, even outside of its memeable potential. That's nice. I really don't understand why the cars don't move anymore, and I don't even think I haven't tested it, but I don't even think that they deal damage to you. I don't even think if you hit them, they'll stop you, obviously. But I don't think the cars actually flip you over. I think they just kill your momentum, which is additionally bizarre. But, yeah, it goes to a lot of decisions that were made with this Coconut Mall variant that I'm decidedly not a fan of. Anyway, yeah, that was my long tirade about the Halo Infinite roadmap, which released kind of out of the blue yesterday. I was not expecting to get that. Well, I mean, I was hoping to get it soon, because they said that would be there back in January, and it just wasn't. So, yeah, at least they finally... Is that a shortcut that I could have taken? I'm not sure. I don't think it was. It looked like it might have been. The car's not moving is weird. Yeah. With multiplayer, how would it work if you just stayed in one area? I'm assuming you're referring to the, what's it? I'm assuming you're referring to campaign co-op, in which case, I imagine what'll happen is when you reach a certain point, it'll probably teleport you. I'm not... For story missions, I imagine it'll teleport you no matter what. I imagine for story missions, it'll teleport you to that mission no matter what happens, but... As for the open world stuff, I'm guessing... I don't know. I don't know if they'll do it to where they'll teleport you to one player over the other, or if they'll let you both explore on your own. I don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, for anything that requires a cutscene, I will obviously be teleported to one direction over the other. But as for like collecting Spartan cores, collecting armor lockers, stuff like that, I don't know how they'll manage checkpoints and teleportation or stuff like that. But well, that's because like I said, the fact that we are even asking these questions, I imagine, is indicative of the reason why campaign co-op is taking so long to come out. It's strange that it took, well, no, I was going to say it's strange that it took 6 years to make the game, and we still don't have a lot of it, but like I said, if you read up on how Halo Infinite was developed, it's kind of depressing. I mean, because Halo Infinite's campaign is phenomenal and one of the best in the series, which under the circumstances it was developed is beyond impressive. Yet even still, there was apparently heaps of, like 2/3 of a campaign that didn't make the final cut. Which makes you, A, wonder what might have been, and B, wonder just how just what went on with this, because apparently a lot of the development was outsourced to third-party companies, like contractors working on the game for only limited amounts of time, which doesn't tend to go well for the most part. So there's a lot of nuance that happened with this game's development that I can't cover in this stream. But if you look into it yourself, it's just depressing. It's because the other thing is that if you watch the original 2018 E3 trailer, the original trailer that announced Halo Infinite, I was just surprised to see that, because by that point it had already been almost 3 years since Halo 5 came out, and the most they had to show for it in that 3-year time period was a quick announcement trailer that was more of an engine demo than anything else. That was already like, really? That's all you have to show off after 3 years? That was already a massive red flag. And then the next year, all they had to show was the opening cutscene, which was even more of a red flag, which is just like, okay, why exactly has it been 4 years and we still haven't received basically anything substantive about this game's campaign? And the reason is because apparently the development was not only, well, first and foremost, the story was radically changed. Obviously, it's very obvious that the original story they planned for Halo 6 after Halo 5 was cut drastically after the abhorrent reception for Halo 5. They changed it significantly to account for the new direction the story was taking. So that's obviously part of the reason why the story shifted so radically and why the campaign took longer than it should have. But even just in terms of gameplay, they spent a lot of time crafting that new slip space engine, which is apparently very problematic and finicky to get working properly, which also cut into development time. There's just a lot that went into making this game that people seem to overlook. And of course, it doesn't excuse it, because there's companies that have worked under harsher crunch and still made phenomenal games. It just explains why it is the way that it is. And again, it's still impressive that even with all those stipulants under the game's development, they still made one hell of a campaign. Are we playing a 200cc? No, we're playing a 150cc, and I definitely feel that we're playing a 150cc. You're thinking of purchasing Master Chief Collection? You should. It's great. Master Chief Collection is absolutely worth the price, especially because it was on discount recently. Absolutely worth the price. You love being disconnected? Yes, Nintendo's phenomenal online system. Back at it again with the stellar connections. What tracks do I want in the DLC? Stuff from Mario Kart 7, the Maka Woohoo tracks would be great. The Dino Jungle one from Double Dash would be great. Really, I'm down for pretty much anything, because having played through all the courses recently, I'm down to see basically all of them. Daisy Cruiser would be cool to see. There's a lot of stuff that would be really awesome to see in the future DLC packs. And I think someone posted a leak that they might have already, the courses for Wave 2 might have already leaked. Haven't looked at them, don't want to see them, want to be surprised for myself when they come out officially. So we'll see how that goes. But as for what I want to see, I would love to see an HD remake of the Woohoo Island courses, because Wii Sports Resort is just such a wonderful atmosphere to be on, or be surrounded by. I would love to see how that looks with updated visuals. I think that'd be really cool to see. Obviously, stuff from Mario Kart Wii, of course, Maple Treeway is one that is always good to see. Mario Kart 7's Rainbow Road would be awesome, because that's the best Rainbow Road the series has ever seen. So that would be definitely something I would love to get a remake of. But like I said, there's not many courses I wouldn't be down for seeing what they could do with, because even the worst of courses from previous games have seen great remasters in subsequent releases. So I'm pretty much down to see just about anything that they want to throw our way. Explains the reuse of assets during the campaign. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very clear that they had much grander plans for the campaign, but they were working under I imagine they were extremely limited when it came to what exactly they could do for those main levels. And yet, in spite of that, they still turned out amazing. Because really, The only point of contention the two biggest points of contention that I have with Halo Infinite are the equipment switcher and the vehicle system. Those things I don't think were a result of the development hell. That's just poor design that should have been fixed earlier. But the lack of biome diversity and repeated environments is definitely a result of we don't have time, we're out of resources, we need to make something work, so then they did that. Which is, sadly, the same thing that happened for Combat Evolved. But what's important is that the game is still fun to play. So, my favorite tracks in the series might be Dino Dino Jungle from Double Dash. DK Summit's always a good one. Coconut Mall is classic. Mount Wario is one that always ranks high on my list. Yeah, I would probably go for one of those. You mean something that had development hell still end up being good? Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy how pointing to the fact that something went through developmental hell isn't exactly an excuse, and saying something along the lines of, well, you should be grateful the show even exists in the first place is not at all an excuse. Oh, by the way, did I mention the show? Oops, I guess I'm talking about the show now. Yeah, the Halo show sucks. Update. For anyone who hasn't been keeping up on the Discord server, the Halo show is somehow even worse than it was originally. Episode 5 is the most broken of the bunch. That it concludes first the lead up to the big scene that everyone is just creaming themselves over is idiotic in terms of the circumstances surrounding the artifact itself, the way they try to retell the story of John being kidnapped is pathetic, to say the least. So that's that. The way Chief acts to everybody around him, from Halsey to Cortana to whatever the hell the other Spartan's name is, I don't know and I don't care, because I don't care about anybody on Silver Team, even to a minor degree. He's just not acting like how he would act at all. And then when you actually get to the battle scene, everything just snaps in half. It shatters consistency on the most fundamental of levels. It's both in terms of in context of accuracy to the games in question, and just in terms of basic logic. It just doesn't work. It just does not. Nothing about it works at all, actually. And watching that episode is only pain. It's only a painful experience. Whether it be pain because your brain wants to explode from idiotic character dialogue, or because the action just makes no sense, you'll find it in one way or another. You will find something that makes your brain want to explode. And I can't wait for episode 6 where nothing happens. I can't wait for nothing substantive to happen until the final episode, because that's the way this show's pacing works, is that nothing happens for 6 episodes at a time, and then everything happens all at once, and it just goes insane. And it's a perpetually contradictory pace, in the sense that the plot's developing at breakneck pace, and yet nothing happens in the show for multiple episodes at a time. It's kind of ridiculous. And it's baffling, honestly, how it's even possible for it to turn out that way. Pablo trying not to take off his mask for 0.00001 seconds. Oh yeah, you know what my favorite part is? My favorite part of the episode was at the very end, when the battle has officially ended for 2 seconds, and he automatically decides, oh, I guess the enemies are all gone now, let me take off my helmet. Despite the fact that you're certainly sitting in a cloud of fog and dust, and you have no idea if there are any enemies still alive hiding in the background that you can't see, that might be waiting for an opportunity to take you out. Why would you take your helmet off in the middle of a battlefield when the battle just ended 1 second ago? It's bad. The idea the Master Chief has to show his face to show emotion is ludicrous. They did something like that in the 90s Judge Dredd movie. Oh yeah, so, here's the thing. Pablo Schreiber tweeted out an article explaining why the Halo show failed while the movie succeeded. And that article goes into detail about how the Chief doesn't have any development in the games and because he doesn't show his face. And it's just, these people hate the games. Like, the people working on this show hate the games. They really think their understanding of Halo is that it is a typical run-of-the-mill bland first-person shooter game where the stories are dumb and no one grows as people, and it's just shooty bang bang the whole time. And it pisses me off to my core, because it's just proof. They say we play, like, you cannot simultaneously argue that we absolutely play the games and you took me out of context, and then go on to say the games have no character development. You can't do that. No one with a functioning brain can do that. Because you don't play Halo 4 or Halo Infinite and come to the conclusion that there's no development in those games. You just don't. That just doesn't happen. No sane human being plays, even if you don't like the fact that Chief became more emotional, he did become more emotional. Whether or not you like the fact that that happened, it is an indisputable fact that he absolutely went through development in the course of those games. So, you don't get to tell me, oh, we absolutely did our research and we played that as a floating mushroom, I guess. Okay. Oh, I guess there was someone who went invisible, never mind. So, if you actually... Oh, it's so bad. It's really bad. Just... Because, like I said, at least Josh Cooley, I've said this because people have been asking me, is this worse than Josh Cooley territory? And I say yes, because at least Josh Cooley was nice about it. He could trick the average person to think that he's just an idiot, as opposed to, like, someone who's actively malicious about this stuff. But, no, you can't say that for Pablo Schreiber. You might be able to say it for some of the people working on the show, and to be fair, I'm sure the VFX artists are probably underpaid and overworked under a really harsh time constraint. I'm sure it's not their fault the show sucks. They're just doing their job, doing a crap job, but they're still just, like, it's not their fault that the show is as poorly written as it is. But Pablo Schreiber and the people on the writing team, yeah, no, this is 100%, this is malicious. God damn it. It's pain. It's only pain, actually. I feel only pain when I watch the show, and I read up on the development of it, and I read up on what the actors and writers are saying. It's just awful. It's really bad, actually. The Chief has no development, meanwhile Infinite exists. Well, not just Infinite, 4. You can go back as early as 4. Hell, not even 4. Even if you even just go back to Halo 2. Second game in the series. It's not much. There is that moment with Chief and Cortana where he has to leave Cortana behind. There's hesitation. He doesn't... Because in the Fall of Reach book, Chief saw Cortana as nothing else but a tool to help accomplish his mission. His thought process was, yes, she would sacrifice me to complete the mission, and I would sacrifice her. This is great. We can work together to accomplish our missions. It'll be phenomenal. And then in Combat Evolved, they have their first adventure, and they grow a little bit closer together. It's not highlighted because Combat Evolved's story isn't super strong in terms of its character development. It's mainly focused on the plot and the world building. And then Halo 2 comes around and you can really feel that, like, their personalities are a lot more distinct and dynamic with each other, which comes in the end of Halo 3, where you can really see that Chief has evolved somewhat in terms of his personality and emotional connection to Cortana, and by the time Halo 4 rolls around, all bets are off. It's the complete deconstruction of him as a character in terms of what he values and what it means to be a soldier in a world like the Halo universe. It's a phenomenal build-up that Halo 5 utterly destroys, and then Infinite thankfully salvages. So to see these callous hacks say something along the lines of that they never had development in the games is just incorrect and disrespectful, and just a blatant contradiction, and it's just... You couldn't... Like, just don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Just say... If you just told me that you didn't play the games, you want to do your own thing, that's still awful. But at least you're telling me the truth. At least you're confident enough to tell me that, because, you know, hey, you know what? I'll say this. At least Josh Cooley had the balls to say up front that he was just, his story didn't make any sense. He said that. At least Josh Cooley actually had the self-awareness to say that what he was writing made no sense. And that, well, it's just a joke that Buzz is an idiot now. He's never been the brightest crayon in the box. Like, he's at least being honest when he says those things. Even if what he's saying is incorrect, he believes what he's saying is true. So, I can't say the same for the people that wrote this stupid show. I don't believe you're telling me the truth. You're not being honest with me when you say these things. You cannot tell me with a straight face that you actually give a shit about what you're doing when you're this blatantly contradictive constantly. Every 5 seconds you contradict yourselves. It's pathetic. It's honestly pathetic. People who make the show are pathetic, and people who defend it even more so. You only played Halo 1 and 2, and even you can tell that Chief gets development. Yeah, he absolutely does. Oh, and I love, yeah, don't you love it when someone gets hit with an energy sword and the person doesn't die? Yeah, in case you guys aren't aware, Halo 5 has Last Jedi levels of, it has Last Jedi levels of, not disappearing weaponry, but weapons that are ineffective against their target. In Episode 5, there's a part where first of all, Jackals have energy swords. Don't ask why. But he swings the energy sword at the Chief and it just phases right through him. So, that's nice. Quote from Chief to Cortana. We need to protect each other. Yeah, so, what Chief says in that scene, he looks to Cortana and he says, it was my job to take care of you. And Cortana's response is, we were supposed to take care of each other. And then you look at the Halo show, and you have there's a line where the Master Chief says, Cortana tells Chief, switch to secondary, which she would never say, but moving on. The Chief's response to that is, I know how the game is played, Cortana. And it's just a line that makes you want to die. Like how, who wrote this? Who wrote that? Who wrote that line? And thought it was like, yeah, this is quality dialogue. I know how the game is played. You clearly don't know how the game is played, because then, minutes later, you go on to show a scene where the Master Chief comically jumps onto a Banshee with abysmal CGI that doesn't look even remotely realistic in terms of how humans jump, and then grabs onto the Banshee, and then proceeds to shoot a pistol. Let me repeat that again. Shoots a pistol through the exterior shell of a Banshee. No. That's not... Go ahead. Tell you what. Try that in the game. Play any Halo game and try to kill the driver of the Banshee by shooting it once with a pistol. Let me know how that works out for you. Spoiler alert, it won't. It won't work out for you. You'll fail miserably. You'll probably die in the process, and then you'll understand how shit this show is. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, seconds later, the Chief somehow controls the Banshee despite not having hijacked the Banshee. He just takes control of it despite not even being in the damn pilot seat. And then proceeds to steer the Banshee towards the Phantom, crash the Banshee into the Phantom, and then causes the Phantom to explode by crashing into the ground at a comically fast rate. And it's just... You people don't understand how physics works, do you? It's really bad, it's really bad. And if you go frame by frame, it only gets worse. If you go frame by frame analysis style for this show, it just gets worse and worse. Stuff that I didn't even notice when I first watched through becomes even more apparent when you put a microscope into the lens of this stuff. It's really unfortunate, as is what just happened there. I don't know, it's just Mario Kart for you, I guess. You have a question about Cortana on the show. Does she get some screen time? Does she act as she does in the games? She gets screen time. That's something that happens. She gets screen time, but not anything her screen... I'd like her to get less screen time, actually. Because she's just repulsive to look at in this awful, awful show. And then, as for how she acts in relevance to the games, no. She doesn't act anything like she does in the games. She's creepy and weird, and I don't like her. She doesn't act like the Weapon or Cortana. Her personality is more aligned with the Weapon than it is Cortana, in that Cortana was always very snarky, in that she was like, thanks for the tank, he never gets me anything. Whereas the Weapon is like, it's been 6 months, where have you been? Let's go find out what that signal is. They're two very distinct personalities from each other, but they just don't care about that. Because yeah. You only saw one scene from a Warp Zone React, and that's all you needed to stay the hell away from the show. Yeah, don't watch it. It's terrible. It's awful. It's actually quite bad. It's indefensible garbage. It doesn't anger me more than Toy Story 4. But, you know, still worse, probably. Because at least Toy Story 4 has visual splendor going for it. Can't say the same thing for this show. Oh, one more thing I want to mention about Halo Infinite. People are saying that the new Last Spartan Standing mode is a Battle Royale mode. You people don't understand what Battle Royale is, do you? It's not even... Battle Royale mode is... Battle Royale involves dropping into a massive arena where you scavenge for resources, have approximately one battle per minute, and just a bunch of other mechanics that are not even... The Last Spartan Standing doesn't even have half the characteristics of what constitutes a Battle Royale mode. But because people are so fucking desperate for Halo Infinite to have a Battle Royale mode, because they're just pathetic no-life Twitch streamers that will mindlessly move from one game to the next that has whatever the new hip Battle Royale mode, it'll just move between them all constantly because you gotta get that content, you gotta keep your brain-dead audience attention span going because all they care about is Battle Royale where you fight for 2 minutes at most, cumulative across the span of 3 games, and then move on. You just pick it up for one day, and week at most, or if you're Dr. Disrespect, you'll say, what was it, he said 3 weeks, I think, is how much he was willing to give it until Battle Royale mode was implemented. And then you'll drop it like it never existed, because that's just, your Twitch audience's attention span is so utterly pathetic that all you can do is just move between games as fast as physically fucking possible to keep on top of the new hip trends that everyone loves nowadays. And it's just pathetic. People are so desperate for it to have a Battle Royale mode, and it's just so fucking funny that people have no goddamn idea what the hell they're talking about, as per usual, because people are just so fucking stupid. People have no goddamn idea what they're talking about half the time. I think 90s movies have better CG? Probably, honestly. Jurassic Park certainly did. Jurassic Park had way better CGI than the Halo show, that's for damn sure. That's just categorical at that point. That was Cortana. He thought she was Cortana's evil clone to annoy Halo fans and trick new watchers. Well, she's not Cortana, and the Master Chief is Master Chief. They're not the Master Chief is Steve Downs' Master Chief, and Jen Taylor is also Cortana, but the character she plays in that awful show is not the Cortana we know. They're not even remotely comparable, actually. One of my thoughts on zero build mode on Fortnite. I'm sure it doesn't make the game... I'm sure it makes the game slightly better. Just... It categorically has to make the game slightly better because so much of what's wrong with Fortnite is the build mode. But even if you take out the building, then all you're left with is just another shallow BR. Because whether or not you have the building in there, it's still Fortnite. It's still crap. It's still the same shit, different day. So, it makes it slightly more tolerable, I guess, because people can't just build the Eiffel Tower in approximately 3 seconds. But, it's still just crappy Battle Royale with a different coat of paint. None of his movies look amazing, just look at Lightyear. Oh, yeah. Oh, I guess I can also mention that. The Lightyear trailer came out, and it looks really bad. In fact, I think I actually... Previously, my position on the movie was that it was going to be, at worst, just inoffensively terrible. Because I don't think... The worst contradiction it could possibly have is already done in that the movie exists at all. So the internal story, I couldn't imagine breaking anything. But then I saw the new trailer. And it seems like they're going to make it such that things like To Infinity and Beyond were never actually Buzz's catchphrase. And it was just something that his partner came up with that was then imparted onto him. Which sounds very similar to another Chris Evans project that was retroactively changed for reasons in March of 2019. But that's whatever, I guess. And then there's also the fact that, speaking of that unnamed Chris Evans project, as it turns out, the I'm gonna describe you guys a story. Stop me if you've heard this one before. So there's a story about Chris Evans who plays the role of a hero from over half a century ago, who wakes up in the future one day just in time to fight aliens, and in doing so he also happens to come face to face with the granddaughter of his combat partner, not common partner, but his ally, his most trusted ally from his glory days half a century ago. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Because it sure as hell sounds familiar to me. Did you think I was talking about Captain America the Winter Soldier / Avengers / Captain America the First Avenger? Well, boy howdy, well, let me tell you something. I was talking about the plot of the Lightyear movie, but you couldn't tell the difference. And it's starting to... It's the fact that Taika Waititi is in this movie is starting to explain some things. I just don't... And then there's also a scene where Buzz is... It's, first of all, blatant nostalgia pandering. The shot where Buzz arrives in Andy's room, and you see inside his helmet as he looks around, and then you do the same thing again in Toy Story 2. They just do that shot again in the Lightyear trailer. It's really pathetic, actually. And then, seconds later, you have Buzz Lightyear doing his mission log, almost one for one what it says in, what he says in the first Toy Story movie. And then his partner makes fun of him for it, saying no one ever reads those things, and it's just... You can just tell that they just are gonna try to belittle Buzz again at every chance they get, because they fucking hate these characters so goddamn much. I hate it. I hate the current state of just media in general. You can't hear anything? Was my audio broken or something? Did no one hear anything I was saying there? If so, you missed a rant about Lightyear. Your audio's fine? Okay, cool. He was never the brightest crown in the box. Oh god. If they make Buzz out to be an idiot and make everyone around him out to be amazing, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. Because I'm sure people are gonna jump to the immediate defense of, oh, well, it's not, you know, I'm getting very sick and tired of seeing this. It's the same shit for the Halo show. People's #1 defense of the Halo show is, excuse me, if you were a real Halo fan, you would take it for what... I saw a tweet saying, I'm looking for positive members of the Halo community who just take the Halo show who accept the Halo show for what it is rather than what it's not. Like, what a stupid thing to say. Yeah, accept the show for what it is, which is bad, instead of criticizing it for what it's not, which is good. What a stupid fucking thing to say. Jesus Christ. And it's the same goddamn thing for the Lightyear movie. People immediately jump to the defense of, it's not Buzz from the movies, you idiot. It's an in-universe movie. It's like Andy's Star Wars. It's the movie he saw as a kid. It doesn't fucking matter, you idiots, because this movie is what the Buzz Lightyear toy is based on. So if Buzz's personality in this movie is inconsistent with Buzz's personality in the movies we know and love as a toy, then we're gonna have a problem here, buddy. But that requires intelligent thought, which isn't present in Pixar fans, from what I can gather. The more I see about, hell, just today actually, someone committed the unforgivable sin of saying Toy Story 4 was not needed at all, and then the mindless sheep immediately jumped on him, saying that it was the perfect epilogue to the story, and that they'll die on that hill. I saw that same sentiment copied and pasted about 1,000,000 times like a fucking copy pasta. And then, even further, I saw someone say that Toy Story 3 was never the perfect ending because it was all the toys saying goodbye to Andy, but now they finally got some closure in this movie. Kindly go fuck yourself, you miserable pile of rubbish. I don't understand how you come to this point in your life when you just say things like that. I don't get it. I just don't. So yeah, I mean, turning red discourse is also something that's just, I mean, I don't care enough to push back against it. Like, the movie's awful. It's really bad, actually. But, like, it's, nothing about it makes me angry. I can understand if it does make you angry because it's really, really bad. But at least I had a good time cackling at its idiocy. There's nothing to cackle at in Toy Story 4 when it deals such irreparable damage to the characters we've known and loved for over 2 decades at this point. So the more you see from Pixar fans and the discourse that they bring upon themselves, the more you just want to bash your brains against a wall. So, such is life when you just cover Pixar content. You don't go on Twitter, but I've seen defensive for turning red. No, I have not. I haven't engaged in any online discourse about turning red, so I just don't care enough to look for it. I really just don't, honestly. I did, however, see that one person who said that thing that everyone has heard about that I'm not going to repeat here because I think that might actually get me demonetized if I say it, but you all know what I'm talking about. That thing that person said about Turning Red that was a fucking hilarious criticism. That is just like, if I was on the team criticizing Turning Red for being bad, I'd be like, yeah, get off the stage, buddy. I don't want you on my team. You're sinking the ship for the rest of us. Good morning, Marie. Welcome to the stream here today. I think actually someone just mentioned what I was talking about in chat. I think if I said that, that might be one of those red flags things that if you mention it, YouTube just instantly monetizes you. But, yeah. But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. You think that it's the same thing they did for the Star Wars movie? Oh, yeah, so kind of the same thing there. I don't care about Star Wars at all, so I don't have an emotional attachment to the movie, so I'm not really angered by them. But I can still watch The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and Force Awakens and be like, yeah, this is broken. Nothing here is running with any sense of logic at all. So, yeah, I feel no anger towards them, but I can certainly understand why people are angry at them, because it's the same level of world-building destruction, broken plot, and character assassination, and internal inconsistency in regards to the themes it's trying to portray that is present in Toy Story 4, so trust me, for any Star Wars fans in chat, I empathize with you greatly. I feel your pain. Not with Star Wars, because I'm the wrong person to criticize Star Wars. It's never had that big of an impact on me, so I'm the wrong person to criticize it. But I've seen people criticize them. I've seen people tear those movies to shreds in the same vein that I tore Toy Story 4 to shreds. I'm aware there's a lot about those movies that is just so easy to decimate. Also, and on the subject of potentially getting the stream demonetized, I mentioned this before on the Discord, I'm pretty sure, but for those who don't know, remember last weekend's stream that I did where I played Halo for a bit and just ranted about how shit the show was? You may not have noticed, but that stream is blocked now. You can't watch it anymore because Paramount CBS blocked my stream because I showed a few seconds of the Halo TV show, which footage that I acquired, by the way, by watching the marketing videos available on their YouTube channel. So I didn't even get it from the episodes themselves. It was just on their YouTube channel. But apparently they took issue with that and blocked my stream. So sorry if you wanted to rewatch that stream. It's not happening anymore because Paramount CBS is just a bunch of bitches. That, like, I'm sorry. It's just fair use. When I make my series tearing that show to shreds, it will 100% be fair use. Under the category of what fair use is, it is a constructive piece of analysis on your show. I have every right to show footage from it. But if you're Paramount CBS and you know what you're making is awful, and you have because YouTube's copyright system is broken to the core, you have the ability to hide behind the shield of copyright abuse constantly, and you can just abuse creators who have the audacity to tear your show to shreds. I know, horrifying thought that you might have to actually succumb to criticism, but spooky. Probably won't play it, also be in chat. That's totally fine. Hopefully you enjoy hanging out in the chat. The criticism was so dumb. The dude who said it's just some irrelevant reviewer keeps trying to be relevant again by saying stupid shit. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know the context of who it is or what else it was in the review. I just hear that one clip. So, yeah, that's all I really know about it. Halo Episode 5 versus Despair Arc Episode 4. I laughed at Despair Arc Episode 4. I felt only anger watching Halo Episode 5. But I think that comes... I mean, they're both broken. I think it just comes down to how you... what your emotional reaction was to either. Because they're both broken episodes. You could probably fix it. Yeah, so I could probably... there's... no... insert Sonic Colors quote here. But... I could definitely fix it if I tried. I just don't really... I don't think it's worth putting... Like, if it was my Halo show, or like a review of the Halo show, I would absolutely put in the effort to fix that. But for just a one-off stream, I don't know that it's really worth going through that, to be honest with you. So, eh. Also, I saw someone mention my, someone quoted one of my quotes from the April Fool's video. I will not argue that a fourth movie did not need it to be made. It might interest you to know, and some of you already know this for those of you who were in Discord with me a couple days ago, But Brooks stopped by the Discord server to chat with myself and some viewers for a little bit. And on the spot, he, upon request, watched my April Fool's video. So you'll be happy to know that he finally saw it. His review of my video was an 8.5 out of 10, and he was not very happy with my portrayal of his voice. He says, I need to get the exact quote. It was too hilarious not to get the exact quote on this, as to how he says I sounded in regards to doing his voice. I don't want to misquote what he said because it's interesting to read. But yeah, he's seen the video for anyone who's curious. He was not angered by it. He was fine with it. But he was not content with how I did his voice. But I don't know. I don't know. I think I did a pretty good job doing his voice with my vocal cords. All things considered, I think I did a pretty okay job doing that. That's fine. I'm not too bothered by it. I just figured I'd let you all know, in case anyone was curious as to what he... In case you were curious if he had seen it and if he had what his thoughts were on it, I have provided you the answers to both those questions here today. And races... Okay. That's just Mario Kart for you. I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just Mario Kart for you. He said, I don't sound like a drunk guy doing a Trump impression, is how he described my portrayal of him in the video. But I don't know. I think I did a pretty alright job, all things considered. Thoughts on the first Sonic movie? You didn't see the second one yet, so you don't want to get spoiled. First Sonic movie is great. His first Sonic movie is good. I'd give it a 6. I was impressed by the first Sonic movie. I didn't have very high expectations for it, but it thoroughly exceeded them. I was very impressed with the first movie. Does this affect the video essay and Halo TV show? Well, I'm still gonna make. I don't care. I don't care if I have to give up on doing visuals and just put Halo gameplay in the background. Nothing is gonna. Again, insert Sonic Colors quote here. Nothing's gonna stop me from ripping apart this show. I don't care what it takes. I don't care how many hoops I have to jump through. I'm ripping apart the show. That's all there is to it. Whether I have to flip the video over the horizontal axis, sorry, vertical axis, whether I have to just abandon footage altogether and use gameplay, whether I have to chop up the video in a way that YouTube's copyright sensors can't detect it, I don't care what I have to do, because it's fair use, or even if I just have to push back against the claim itself, it's fair use for me to use the footage in a review. It simply is. Categorically, it is fair use. So they have absolutely no right to silence those, because all it is just silencing. They're silencing people who, because you don't see any positive reviews of the show being struck down. You only see negative reviews being struck down. So it's very interesting. It seems it's almost as if their intent is just to silence those who criticize their shitty writing and not actually any issues over copyright abuse. It's almost like they're just using YouTube's broken system to their advantage, or some crazy theory like that. What do I know, am I right? Not like I've been wrestling with this bullshit copyright for years at this point. Not like I have had to dance, like, just walk on eggshells to get these videos up on YouTube and fight against YouTube's copyright system. Ever since Danganronpa 3, to be honest with you. Just to make this, to make the videos watchable. Even just watching the damn trailer, the marketing material for the show that was available publicly on their YouTube channel, that doesn't work. It's just pathetic. Like I said, it's absolutely pathetic. Because you know that you have the power. You shouldn't have it, but you currently have the power to hide behind YouTube's copyright system and abuse it to your advantage to silence people who disagree with you, which is not how this should work. It's absolutely not how it should work, but it's how the system works. And by the way, in case anyone thinks I want a system like Twitch where you can just watch full episodes of TV and just get away with it scot-free, or at worst get like a temporary suspension that is lifted within 48 hours. I don't want that. I don't want YouTube to become Twitch, where you can just you can just steal videos and steal TV shows and not transform them at all. I don't want it to become the Wild Wild West, where there's no one held accountable for anything that they do. But I'm sorry, using footage of a movie or a show for a critical analysis is by definition fair use. And the copyright holders have absolutely no right to silence those who criticize them because they don't like it. When did that happen? Yeah, it happened after you left. Can't wait for Sonic Movie 3. If someone time traveled back to 2019 and told you would ever said you'd be called crazy. Yeah, it's, we live in a world where Sonic gets better cinematic adaptations than Halo. The fact that I am even able to say that is depressing. You love how we got a Toy Story 4, not a Monsters, Inc. 2 from Pixar. Monsters at Work is basically Monsters, Inc. 2. The Monsters at Work show on Disney Plus is, for all intents and purposes, Monsters, Inc. 2. It continues the story of Mike and Sully after the events of the first movie. You may as well just call it Monsters. I mean, it does have emphasis on, or it does focus on new characters as well. Mike and Sully are still a critical component of the show, so that's the closest you're gonna get. How good is it? 6 or 7 out of 10. The scenes with Mike and Sully steal the show, but I still enjoy watching the new characters for the most part. It doesn't deal any damage to the movie's integrity if that's what you're worried about. It's not. There's no Toy Story 4 levels of character assassination here. It's still Mike and Sully are still themselves. They still have that classic dynamic that works so well in the original movie. Billy Crystal and John Goodman just steal the show as always. They are exceptional in their roles, and like I said, even the new characters are really compelling. It's all, you know. I really should have just used that as a comparison for my Toy Story 4 series, where I say, hey, look at all these new characters that don't overshadow Mike and Sully. You can still have the new characters here whilst focusing on the old characters. You can do it. You can do it. I promise you. It's not against the rules. You're allowed to do that. But yeah, I probably should use that because that came out in summer of last year. Like July through, I think it ended in September. I think July through September was how long that show ran for. So yeah, that's a prime example of how to have the old character, or how to introduce new characters and have them shine while not trampling all over the old characters. That is I'd say probably textbook example, and it would have been relevant just because it was Pixar, so it would have been a good example to look to when tearing apart Toy Story 4. But yeah, that's the closest you'll get to a Monsters, Inc. 2, and honestly, do you even want to make a Monsters, Inc. 2? Because the Monsters, Inc. just ended so perfectly, I don't even know that would you want to see with a Ratatouille or WALL-E? I don't think you would. I really don't, honestly. I honestly don't, not everything needs a sequel. Things can end. Scary thought, I know, but things are allowed to just end. Not everything on the world needs a sequel to it. Some stories are best left self-contained. Like, another movie I watched, Searching, that's a great movie. I would love to see more movies in that style, but I don't want a sequel to Searching because the story ended perfectly where it did, and you need not continue it. In fact, I think any attempts to continue it would just fall short of expectations. But the style of the movie Searching is something that doesn't get done often enough, and I want to see more of that style. But not with those characters. Their story's done, it's over. We can stop right there. You do not need to continue beyond that point. So, yeah, that's my general thoughts on that. And that's just Mario Kart for you. I don't even know what to tell you, it's just Mario Kart. Fucking you over as always. What's my favorite cartoon of all time? Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb is by far and away my favorite cartoon of all time. I'm just not a real Halo fan. Oh yeah, did you like it when Pablo Schreiber said, and to all the quote-unquote fans that hated the show before they even gave it a chance, it's like, shut the fuck up, you miserable penguin. We live in a world where something Halo-related is Danganronpa quality. The fact that that is a thing we can say is depressing. Ripped apart and Dual Destinies did the issue great, unlike Toy Story 4 and Apollo Justice. Yeah, I mean, I think the examples I picked worked well, but Monsters at Work would have been a better example, probably just because it was already Pixar. You kind of want a WALL-E 2? Really? Because WALL-E just ended so perfectly. WALL-E's ending is perfection. I really don't... I think any attempt to continue that story would just fall short. Like, they already... The story of WALL-E is done. It's over. We don't need to continue. We don't need to just carelessly hap out something else. I mean, you can make something good work out of it. It's not impossible to make a good sequel to WALL-E, but do you really want to take that chance? Because I'd much rather keep the story self-contained in the perfect little bubble that it is, and not add anything else to it. Because more often than not, any attempts to make sequels to things fail more than they succeed. Of course, it's not to say you can't make sequels. You can, of course. Sequels can be great. But when you have a story... Some movies, like the first Sonic movie, is obviously left open enough to where it is inviting a sequel to exist. But Ratatouille and WALL-E, those don't need a sequel. And frankly, Finding Nemo didn't really need one either. But they at least... They made enough room, there was enough wiggle room left to where they could have made a sequel, and they did, but it just wasn't as good as the first one, so I don't know, it's a complicated issue, I guess. That I mean, well, I guess I'll say this, I don't think we're ever gonna get a WALL-E. I think we're safe in the fact that I don't think Pixar ever will make a sequel to WALL-E or Ratatouille. Although, I also don't know what their plans are for the future anyway, because Lightyear was the last movie on their slate for the foreseeable future. Turning Red and Lightyear were the last things they announced, so I have no idea. I have no idea what's coming for the future of the studio, but hopefully it won't be... Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they said that they're done with sequels for a while. I think they said that going forward they're going to focus on solely original stuff, which is good, because that's where Pixar has always excelled. I mean, obviously stuff like Toy Story 2 and 3 are great, but their strong suit has always been in telling great original stories, and they did that really well with Soul, in terms of it's just a masterpiece of a film. And then when stuff like Luca and Onward, it's like, it's good, it's okay. You made a pretty good film here, but definitely not as strong as some of your other stuff. But, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what their plans are. Have I heard the full version of Dolphin Shoals theme with the full sax solo? I've only heard the version of Dolphin Shoals that plays in the game. I haven't listened to it outside of that. Have I heard of the canceled Monsters Inc. 2 ideas? I have, and I'm kind of glad we never got it. I really don't. I'm very glad we never got that movie. I don't think it would have turned out well, to be honest with you. Josh Cooley's next movie is an untitled animated Transformers movie. That it is, and it's exactly what he deserves to be directing. It is exactly what he deserves to be directing. It's a game you really like that might get a sequel, but you're worried about how it'll be executed, and you think the only way to make a sequel to the game would be to make a spin-off set in the future. Yeah, just spin-offs with taking the concept of a game and spinning it off into just new characters can work without trampling over what the original succeeded at so nicely with. They're most likely going to be shit since it's Lightyear and Turning Red, we know the result. Well, I mean, so Turning Red was bad and Lightyear will probably also be bad, but Soul was great, Luca was pretty good, and Onward was pretty good, so they haven't completely lost their touch. They just floundered about this year. The one Pixar movie you wanted to get a sequel was The Incredibles because the sequel had so much potential. Look how that turned out. Yeah, I mean, again, I blame Josh Cooley and Toy Story 4 for that because the only reason why... If that film had time to settle, it would have been better. I don't think it would have been great, but it would have been better than what we got. I don't think it would have fixed the problems, because, honestly, I've been considering making a video on Incredibles 2, because I very recently watched Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2 basically back-to-back. Never do that. That's only, you're setting yourself up for pain if you do that. That is a miserable experience. It only further highlights everything that the film failed to do catastrophically. My thoughts on that film have only further gone downhill since I saw it the first time. Because just the characters aren't even... Dash isn't consistent with how he was. Violet isn't consistent with how she was. Mr. Incredible certainly isn't consistent with how he was. And just none of the people in the movie act consistent with how they did previously. It's really annoying, and it's also really annoying that just, I don't know, I really thought I've been thinking about making a video about it, especially because now that I've made my Toy Story 4 series, it's kind of a group of people that have an ear out for what I have to say about all Pixar stuff moving forward. So I think it might go over well with people if I make an Incredibles 2 video. Also, it seems like people are more willing to accept criticism of Incredibles 2 than Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 has a group of rabid defenders, as demonstrated earlier today on Twitter. Incredibles 2 doesn't seem to have the same thing. Incredibles 2 seems to be widely regarded as, yeah, it's not as good as the first one. And those people will therefore be more accepting of someone who's willing to tell you, yeah, it's actually really, really bad. It's broken beyond belief, actually. So, you know, I've been thinking about a lot of future video projects, but my priority is going to be wrestling with YouTube's copyright to get a Halo series out the door. But I also have to wait until the show concludes before I can really do that. Because in case there's some context that gets revealed later for certain things, like how they're going to use the new Covenant leader girl, how the artifact's going to tie into things, whether they find the Halo ring, if they portray the fall of Reach, what happens with Cortana and everybody. It just kind of got it. Because, for instance, I guarantee you that if I made my... Like, there were criticisms of... When I made my Danganronpa 3 series, there were criticisms that I had early on in the series that were answered later in the series. For instance, why the hell the Steel Samurai didn't chase after Makoto, Hina, and Mumu through that door. I was going to ask, like, why the hell did you not chase them down? And then in the last episode, it was revealed that, oh, actually, it was the secret achievement all along was that he can't, you know, whatever. He can't open doors, which is some bullshit, which doesn't fix the problem, but at least it explains that possibility, so it's just a fact of waiting until all the episodes are released before I make my full critique of it. Also, it appears I missed a super chat, okay. From Russell Jakubowski. Josh Cooley has adapted J.J. Abrams' idea of mystery boxes from his TED Talk explaining why things don't need to be explained in Star Wars. There are many ways to criticize Toy Story 4. I don't think mystery boxes is one of them. Like, mystery boxes is just the thing where you set something up early to make the audience interested and then pay it off really later down the line. Toy Story 4 doesn't do that. It's not that it sets something up to be explained. It just doesn't explain anything. So those aren't quite the same thing. Speaking of unnecessary sequels, do I think a Portal 3 would be pointless? I think it would be pointless if you continued Chell's story. If you did anything else with Chell, that'd be stupid. The storyline of Chell and GLaDOS is done. That needs to not continue. But if they make a third Portal game that has a different set of characters, that'd be great, because I just want more Portal puzzles to solve, because Portal 2 is a phenomenal video game, as is the first Portal. In fact, I'm probably going to stream Portal 2 here pretty soon, because I did kind of an off-the-cuff stream of the first Portal game a couple weeks ago. So I'm probably going to do a stream of Portal 2 here sometime in the near future. Just because as you guys know now, it's one of my favorite games of all time. Top 10 material, honestly. But I don't want, if they make a Portal 3, which, to be clear, they never will, because it's Valve. But if they ever did, then they shouldn't continue the story of Chell and GLaDOS. They just shouldn't do that. It's not something that they should ever do. So, the answer is yes if it's going to continue that story, but no if it's going to do its own thing. Like, if you just want to call it, if you want to do a Life is Strange, of all things to compare it to, and just slap the 3 on the end, and then tell a story with new characters, I'm fine with that, because Portal's gameplay is phenomenal. Portal's story's meld is exactly what I was looking for. New story, new characters, same gameplay as always. That's fine. You don't need to fix something that isn't broken. Portal 2's gameplay is exceptional. You need not fix it. Just give me a new story, and don't continue the story of, well, you know, I've said it a million times by now. It's just not necessary. And because I've seen fan edits of Portal 2's ending where Chell walks further in that vast landscape and discovers that actually she's not free. It's just all along, it's just another layer to Aperture Science, and she's still trapped inside. That'd be really stupid if it was something like that. Like, that's a really dumb way to continue onward. That's why it just needs to not continue. Her story's done. It'd be as stupid as if they decided to continue Clementine's story and something like that. Oh wait! They are doing that! Because no one gives a shit about anything anymore. They are continuing Clementine's story, and they've already assassinated her character. The stupid book, that stupid fucking book that continues her story isn't even out yet, and they've already assassinated her character in the process. I was so fucking confused. I was so confused. When I saw that book was announced, I'm like, why does this exist? Her story's already over. How did this happen? And then I actually read it, and then I looked into it, and I realized, oh, there was a comic book that portrayed everything she fought for in the original 4 games. Oh, great, dude, my favorite. Love it when that happens. It's so... I'm so frustrated with everything. You were looking in the comments of the Lightyear trailer, and you saw a bunch of comments making fun of it for being gay. Do you know any context for that, or is it just people being dumb as usual? It's people being dumb as usual. I don't know. The only context I can possibly give you for that is that there was a controversy where Disney executives wanted to cut a scene from the movie that involved, I think it was an LGBTQ relationship. The executives wanted to cut it. The artists and writers fought for it to stay in the film, and then the executives eventually conceded that, okay, it gets to stay. That might be what they're referring to, but also keep in mind, it'll stay here in the U.S. version. Not a chance in hell it's staying in the worldwide versions. I guarantee you that the scene that they fought to keep in the film is going to be a 2-second throwaway scene that can be easily cut from other versions. If it is a substantive part of the film, I will be stunned if it is. But yeah, that's it. That's all I can think as to what they're referring to. Also, I'm behind on chat right now because for Mario Kart streams I have to focus on the gameplay more than I typically do. So if I didn't read your message, I still need to scroll further ahead to keep up with what's going on. So, what about the cancel Toy Story 3 idea? That's just Toy Story 4 except with Buzz instead of Woody. So no, I don't. I'm glad we never got that either. I'm very glad we never got that either. Actually, that would have been really bad. Really, really bad. That's just, I mean, it still probably would have been better than Toy Story 4, but it's basically, I don't know why I didn't mention this in the series, but the ending for that canceled Toy Story 3 idea is just Toy Story 4's ending, except it's Buzz instead of Woody. That's all it is. It's nothing creative, or original, or good. So, if we got that Toy Story 3 instead of the one that we actually have, you would hear me calling for Toy Story 2 as the end of the series, not Toy Story 3. But thankfully, we did get Toy Story 3, the actual Toy Story 3, and it's amazing. So, we don't need to discount its inclusion, because it is the perfect ending to the series, and anything after that doesn't any cinematic experience after that doesn't count at all. It's just. So yeah, that's my long-winded thoughts on that. You bought Pixar, and the next movie's gonna be a Trevor Magic movie. Gonna be a sidekick. Oh, yeah, great. Wouldn't that be something? I mean, it would obviously never happen, but yeah, I don't even know. I'm hoping it's gonna be something original, because like I said, that's where Pixar's strong suit is. But you never know anyway. At this point. After Lightyear was announced, I don't put anything past them anymore. At this point, anything goes in regards to what Pixar is capable of. I still don't think we're going to get a full-on sequel because they've said they're not doing that. But that also, we also got Lightyear, and it's not a sequel, but it is still something that is tangentially connected to the Toy Story universe. So it's nothing's off the table at this point. Why do I say that about Trauma Transformers? It's the Call of Duty of movies. It's mindless, schlocky action that makes no sense and is just meant for people who don't. It's meant for people who watch movies with their brains turned off to just have a stupid time. So it's really all that it is. Nothing very interesting about it at all. Imagine Disney hired Josh Cooley to be in charge of Pixar. Yeah, thankfully that'll never happen. Cooley might be worse than JJ and Rian Johnson because they believe what they made was amazing, while Cooley knows that he made something terrible intentionally. I don't know if JJ believes he made Rise of Skywalker to be amazing. I think Wasn't I believe there were a lot of problems with the development of that movie as well. So JJ might have had his hand forced in some instances, because I think it was the original script that got thrown out. Especially considering the fact that he had to spend most of his movie fixing what Rian Johnson broke. Except unlike the writers of Halo Infinite that actually took what Halo 5 broke and used it to make something amazing, Rise of Skywalker decidedly did not do that. What happened with Disney? You never saw live-action remakes in Star Wars sequel trilogy, so you made a great decision not watching it. Yeah, don't watch any of the live-action remakes, and definitely don't watch the sequel. Well, I mean, I'm not really an advocate of Star Wars in general. I really don't think any of the Star Wars movies are all that great. A New Hope is probably the strongest of them because it has the most airtight plot. I really don't understand what people love about Empire Strikes. Well, no, I do. It's the third act is what people love about Empire Strikes Back, because Act 2 is just a murky slog. And Act 1 is broken because there's no reason why they shouldn't just fly around to the back. They charge the stupid AT-ATs head on instead of flying around the back. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, there's a lot that goes into... I just don't think any... And then Return of the Jedi is just... Don't even get me started on everything that's wrong with that film. And then, obviously, the prequels are just... You don't need me to explain what's wrong with the prequels. And the sequels just take everything that was good about the original trilogy and flush it all down the toilet. So, I don't really care at all about anything Star Wars related, except for LEGO Star Wars Complete Saga, which is the only LEGO Star Wars game that matters. So, I guess I'm not the person to advocate for watching the original Star Wars movies, but I certainly I don't really think they're worth it at all. There's no way they can pass it for a 90s movie. No, with the amount of visual effects they've demonstrated, you cannot convince me that this is supposed to be a movie they were released in the 90s. There's absolutely no way. Not a chance in hell this is a movie they released in the 90s. If technology progresses, because I'd like to remind you that by that point, we see in the movies that the televisions they have are on par with 90s television sets. So, there's no way you're going to get me to believe that technology would have progressed at that point in this universe to where they have this, by the way, it's something interesting that came out recently, that the movie was shot in IMAX, which, first of all, as usual, because people don't understand how anything works, they're treating it as this grand revolutionary thing, when it really isn't, because if you actually check the aspect ratio, it's the exact same as the first Toy Story movie in 1995, so... Nice job, guys. You shot yourselves in the foot again. But also, if it's really supposed to be this grand IMAX movie, like really large-scale, expanded aspect ratio IMAX movie, then how exactly are you going to get me to believe that this was something that happened in the 1990s? Because it existed back then. It absolutely existed. I think it was invented in like 67. But not to that scale it wasn't. It absolutely was not to that scale, but that requires people to think about what they do, which they don't. Can't wait for the Woody spin-off where they make Woody a hyper-realistic human cowboy. You don't even want to see how I'll feel if that happens. When do I think we'll see the next wave of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC pass? Probably June. Well, maybe not June. June or July. This summer sometime, definitely. Will I watch Lightyear to see how bad it is? Of course I will. Obviously, it's... Even if I didn't want to see it just out of sheer curiosity, my Toy Story 4 series has made it so that now I basically have to cover anything that's even remotely Toy Story related from here on out. People are going to want to know what I have to say about it. So even if it's only in a very short 15-minute video or whatever, I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna talk about it in some capacity. I really don't want to have to make another How This Destroyed That series for Lightyear, because that was very time-consuming. I mean, it was worth it in the end, but I'd rather not dedicate it to Lightyear. I don't think it's going to need it. At least I hope it's not going to need it. I'm hoping that I can just make a quick 15-minute video on it and call it a day. But every single goddamn time I've hoped that I could do that, I've never been able to actually do it. I've never been able to get away with just making a quick video on something. It's always ballooned into something significantly bigger. So... yeah, my expectations are not high for it. I mean, they're not high anyway, but my expectations for me being able to get away with making a quicker video and not tear it, not shred it to pieces with the same caliber as I did for Toy Story 4, something that's not going to happen. Something tells me I'm going to have to give it the good old-fashioned destroy everything treatment. But it'd be cool if I didn't have to do that. It'd be really cool If Mario Kart could stop fucking me over every 5 goddamn seconds, it'd be really cool if that could happen. It'd be really cool if the RNG bullshit that is this game could stop fucking me over. Love it if that could happen. Also, the Lego Movie. Lego Movie 1 is phenomenal. Lego Batman Movie is also phenomenal. Lego Movie 2 is fine, but it's not even remotely comparable to the first movie or Lego Batman Movie in any way. It's probably like a 5, maybe a 6. The highest you'll get it to go is a 6 in terms of its quality. It's really nothing special. It was very, very disappointing. I was thorough. I mean, I didn't expect it to be as good as the first Lego Movie, but even with that lowered expectations, it was still just abysmal to get through. Well, not that's an exaggeration. It wasn't abysmal to get through, but it was very painful to get through because of a lot of the choices they made, the pacing. I mean, the songs are catchy, some of them, but they also didn't have to try to make a catchy song in the first Lego Movie, but they did for the second one. Return of the Jedi is still your favorite Star Wars movie, mostly for nostalgia. Oh, I can see that. It's a lot of people's favorites, if only because of the payoffs for Luke and Vader in that final throne room scene. I can see why people love it so much, but it's definitely the weakest of the original trilogy in terms of it's just like that opening scene where they rescue Han Solo just doesn't make any sense at all. There's so many layers to how idiotic that rescue plan is. I don't even know where to begin with it. Remember, I'll make a quick 15-minute video talking about Danganronpa 3. Yeah, that didn't. Even for Danganronpa 2.5, I thought I could make that as like a prologue to Danganronpa 3. I thought I could just say real quickly at the beginning of the video, this sucks, moving on. Nope, couldn't do that because that stupid OVA is even worse. No, okay, not even worse, but it warranted its own video. Not originally, but it ended up doing that. Favorite track in Deluxe? Probably Mount Wario. Big problem with Mario Kart, the RNG sometimes just fucks you over. Yeah, it's really painful. You'll probably be able to do it whenever I watch the Layton movie. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that I'll have the passion to care enough about making a video tearing it to shreds. But we'll see. I've been wrong about that every time I've said I can do this quickly. I've always been wrong. So I don't even want to commit to that anymore. It's just we'll see what happens with Lightyear because I'm gonna see it right away. Because I'm gonna try to get Freya 45 to go see it with me, but something tells me she's not gonna want to because I don't blame her. No one is looking forward to this movie. But even if I'm the only one who actually wants to go see it, well, wants in quotation marks to see this movie, I'm gonna see it opening night in IMAX, of course, because I want to be in case there's something off screen in a frame that I need to find. I want to be able to get the full experience so I can comment on it accurately. I don't know if I'll stream it or if I'll make a video. Whatever happens, you'll be able to hear my thoughts on Lightyear, whatever they may be. However that film ends up, you'll see what becomes of it in one way or another. Also, I did see your super chat, Russell. I'll read it in a second. I just need to finish this race, and then I will absolutely read your super chat. And because it's Rainbow Road because it's N64's Rainbow Road, we are rapidly approaching the end of the race, so it won't be too much longer, and then I will read it. Okay, not sure what happened there, but I think I can read it now actually because it's just a straight shot to the end. Your favorite is Episode 3 of Star Wars. I've also seen people that say that it's that's people's favorite just because of that final fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I can see that being someone's favorite as well. It's probably the least terrible of the prequel movies as well, which isn't saying much, but still. We treated the OG Layton trilogy too harshly. No, I didn't. I stand by every criticism I made of those games. I stand by. It's just that the fact that I found worse things than it doesn't make those stories any less flawed. I found something worse than Toy Story 4. Doesn't mean Toy Story 4 is still not the worst movie I've ever seen. Oh, great, Baby Park. I just looked up from the chat. My favorite course of all time. Baby Park. Why would you willingly pick Baby Park? I did no such thing. I picked Yoshi Valley. I didn't see who picked Baby Park, but it sure as hell was not me. Of all the people that picked Baby Park, you'd never catch me willingly choosing to play on this oval of a map. So, I don't know whichever one of you voted for Baby Park. I hope that you don't get a donut tomorrow. Halo TV show, worst TV show. Toy Story 4, worst movie. Yes. It's worst. I feel like I need to stop calling things the worst in the heat of the moment, because I always find something worse. The Halo show is definitely worse, because Danganronpa 3 has moments of quality. Sprinkled throughout the show, there are moments that I actually praised in my series. But there will be no moments of praise in the Halo show analysis, because there's nothing to praise. There's nothing about this show that's even remotely worth praising. And people are like, "Oh, did you see the Needler? That's the Needler from the games. Did you like that? Did you like seeing Chief? That's the Assault. It's the Brute, guys. It's the Brute. Do you like the Brute designs and the Elites? Do you like all the stuff?" It's like, no, don't care about superficial garbage. If the story is shit. Did Sonic Adventure 2 actually dethrone Security Breach? Is my most said the game where I joke? I was not joking when I said that. I absolutely was not joking. So, Security Breach pisses me off more because it actually deals damage to a story that I was emotionally invested in. But, Sonic Adventure 2 is a worse game. Absolutely. Because Sonic Adventure 2's mechanics, the Security Breach is broken. Sonic Adventure 2 works as intended. And, like, those Knuckles stages, they're working as intended. And they're awful. Now, granted, even when Security Breach is working as intended, it's still awful, but still. Adventure 2 is definitely way worse. What's wrong with Loki? Oh boy, howdy, you are in for a wild ride. Well, actually, I guess I don't even need to go that far. We can just stop after the first 10 minutes of the show, where they say that free will doesn't exist in the MCU for the first 3 phases. Let me put this into perspective. When I heard that line, that immediately killed my investment in the MCU. It's gone. I don't care anymore. I don't give a shit about what happens to anything anymore. You have no idea. I was so invested in the MCU. Even through WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was actively looking forward to everything that was coming out for the MCU. Loki killed it. It's done. It's over. It's over. It's done. I don't care anymore. Why would I? Why would you give a shit about a universe that's been established to have no free will for the characters? Why would you care about that? I can't watch the first 3 phases of the MCU anymore without thinking to myself, none of this matters, because everything that these characters are doing always would have happened the way that it did, and none of them ever had a choice about anything they were ever going to make. And any substantive choice they ever made, it was something that had to have been made, or else they would have been melted by the space lizards. So unfortunately, when you nuke the stakes of your story, I kind of stopped caring about the story. It's crazy how that works. You need to have stakes. You need to have it so that characters make meaningful decisions. If you don't, then I don't care. It's very simple. But some rabid MCU fanboys can't wrap their head around that incredibly simple concept because they think Loki is some master. People say Loki's the best of the MCU shows, which I find just hysterical. I find that extremely comical. That anyone thinks Loki is not only not terrible, but the best show that's come out for the MCU recently. I find that just utterly hilarious. That anybody would unironically believe that. But then you remember that you're dealing with MCU fanboys, so anything's possible. Anything goes in the rabid MCU fanbase that thinks Wanda did nothing wrong. I'd like to remind you all, people who, the MCU fanatics, think that Wanda did absolutely nothing wrong and she's not a villain and it was totally justified, but Doctor Strange messing up, that shot, that infamous trailer, where Wanda's like, I break the rules and I'm a villain. You do it and you're a hero. That seems fair. Yeah, you kidnapped and enslaved an entire town of people against their will. Doctor Strange was an idiot. Not the same thing. He was an idiot, and to be clear, his character was also assassinated. He's done. Doctor Strange is done as well, thanks to No Way Home. Thank you, No Way Home. I love you so much. His character's over, but at least he's just incompetent. Wanda's evil. She's a horrible person. Halo TV show is worse than Toy Story 4. How is that possible? Because Toy Story 4 at least is pretty to look at. The Halo show is ugly as hell to look at. Loki was definitely not the best show, but you didn't mind it. You didn't listen to anything that I said, did you? Who thought it was a good idea to hide the emeralds instead of leaving it in the open? Or just to, how about we just, you know, have the emerald tracker fucking work? How about we not have all the levels designed where verticality is how you get around them? You know, just some ideas thrown out off the top of my head to make them less painful. Do I think Mario Sunshine is the Mario version of 06, a game with good concepts that was rushed in development? No, because 06 is actually enjoyable. Sunshine is only pain. All your homies hate Sonic Adventure 2 Treasure Hunting stages. Evidently not a lot of the Sonic fandom. If you're ever curious, check the comments of some of my Sonic Adventure 2 series, where you'll find such stellar defenses as, if you just had some more patience, maybe you would actually like the Sonic Adventure 2 Treasure Hunting stages. And it's just one of the things that makes you go, what is wrong with you? You're not gonna watch any MCU films after No Way Home? Yeah, No Way Home was the last chance. No Way Home was the last chance they had to recapture my interest, and they failed catastrophically. They utterly failed catastrophically to do so. Now I get the references in the DK Jungle Track that play returns. Yeah, I actually recognize these enemies now. Unfortunately, we can't play it because we're playing Ribbon Road again, but I actually recognize what those enemies are. Yeah, I didn't, well, after Loki broke everything, I only watched Black Widow because someone wanted to see it with me, so I went with her. And, well, I mean, I say someone, you know who it was, 45, she wanted to see it with me, so I went to go see it with her. It was a mistake. I didn't watch What If, because why the hell would I? I didn't watch Shang-Chi, and I didn't watch Eternals. I only watched No Way Home because I, for some stupid reason, still cared about Peter Parker's character. Unfortunately, they failed to actually do anything with that. They broke the universe several times over, assassinated Doctor Strange's character, wasted every potential it had. You can hear my rant about No Way Home in episode 1, or part 1 of my Sunshine stream earlier this year. You'll also hear me rant about the movie some more if ever I actually finish the MCU video that I'm working on, where I categorically rip this stupid Phase 4. Phase 4 assassinated basically every character they had left. Wanda's done, Vision is done, Falcon is done, Bucky's done, Loki is certainly done, Black Widow's ruined beyond repair, and Doctor Strange is also ruined. Every hero, the only people that are still salvageable are the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor. But given the track record of, I've clipped through the floor. Given the track record of Phase 4, I have absolutely no faith that they're actually going to pay respects to those characters. Why would I? You've burned me too many times over. The entirety of 2021 was just burn after burn for people who give a shit about these characters. Oh, and I guess Hawkeye is still intact. I don't know. I don't know if Hawkeye ruined him or not. Probably did, for all I know. It probably did ruin him. I'll find out when I eventually watch it. That's up a bomb. Don't want to hit that. I'll find it if Hawkeye was ruined when I eventually watch it, but my hopes are not high, given what the rest of Phase 4 has done to these characters that I cared about. Oh, and I should also mention, even dead characters aren't safe. Tony's been assassinated, as has Steve Rogers. Both those characters have been thoroughly decimated by Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they weren't even alive. They were retroactively made to be worse than they were because the writers hate these characters. Full-on Toy Story 4 style, gotta make the old characters crap so that we can prop up the new characters that have longer contracts. What's my least favorite book? I don't know that I have one. Never really thought about that before. Oh, actually, it's one of the Fazbear Fright stories, probably. I don't really have any thoughts about that. I should watch Shang-Chi and Eternals before making the Phase 4 movie. Oh, don't worry. Before I make my Phase 4 video, I'm going to watch everything again. I'm going to watch everything from Phase 1 to the end of Phase 4, including the things I skipped, including What If, Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Hawkeye. And Moon Knight, which I'm sure I've heard is just so great. Woohoo. Definitely doesn't break the world building even more. So I'm gonna watch all of that again, just to cover my bases as much as possible. Hello, Monster Jam. I see your messages. You didn't need to say hi that many times. But I don't know that I have a favorite, or least favorite book. You might watch Doctor Strange 2 only because it's directed by Sam Raimi. Is that really all it takes? Because I don't... Well, first of all, I've heard a lot of things about the original Sam Raimi trilogy that we're not going to go into here because I need to watch them first. But I've seen the trailers. I've seen how that one line of... The fact that it's crystal clear that they don't think Wanda's done anything wrong. They make crystal clear that they don't think that Wanda has done anything wrong in that movie. So that's already enough for me to be like, yeah, you just don't care, do you? This isn't going to be good. This is absolutely not going to be a good movie. There's no chance in hell it will be. Also, I like how the No Way Home post-credit scene was just the trailer. That's all it was. It's just a trailer. And I waited through the credits for that. And nothing else substantive beyond that point. My favorite. I love it. It's so good. So great. Oh, one more thing I can mention about No Way Home. That decision he makes that everyone praises, I have no reason to believe in that. Yep, they revived Vision, they revived Loki, and they revived Gamora. Death means nothing anymore in this universe. Why would I care about that choice that he makes when they are clearly so willing to flippantly reverse any substantive choice the characters make whenever the hell they want? Why would I care? Why would I care? Why would I have any reason to believe that choice is gonna stick? I don't is the answer. The short answer is I have no reason to believe that. Absolutely none. None whatsoever. No reason to believe that they are going to stay consistent with the decisions that they've made and actually commit to them. They clearly can't commit to anything, given how quickly they were willing to reverse their choices. But yeah, I'll be watching Shang-Chi and Eternals. I've heard they're both really bad, which is not surprising because nothing good has come out of Phase 4 so far. Absolutely nothing is... well, no. The first 3 episodes of WandaVision, when there was actually a creative sitcom, those were good. And then that actually became an MCU show, and then you realize, oh, it's actually very bad. Never mind. My hope was horrendously misplaced. Sunshine has a good setting and good mechanics, but it fails in consistent gameplay. You still play it sometimes despite liking Galaxy and Odyssey more. The setting is good, yeah. I'm always a sucker for a tropical environment. Beach settings are always an environment I enjoy being in a lot. But, unfortunately, the controls are very, very outdated and finicky. Also, thanks, Russell, again, for all the super chats. Did I say hope? Oh, did I commit the cardinal sin? I should also watch the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies before making the series. I probably will watch them, not because I have to, but because 45 has wanted to show them to me for a while. But I don't think it's gonna really help anything, because my problems with the MCU right now are that the previous movies in Phase 4 have assassinated every character they had left, told broken plots, and destroyed the world building. So I don't... Knowledge of what happened in the Sam Raimi and Andrew Webb, I think, is the one that directed the Garfield stuff. Those movies, I don't think it's going to help me out all that much. Am I going to do timeline order or chronological order for MCU? The better question is, am I going to do timeline order, or am I going to break it down by category of what it broke? Because if I do it in chronological order, then Loki is going to be the third thing I talk about, which is kind of a big one, because that's like the thing that destroys the MCU beyond repair. It removes any free will to the point where anything I talk about after that point is basically a moot point. It's like, well, no one has free will, so why does any of this matter anyway? Inversely, if I do it by character, or rather do it by type of criticism, that might make for a less seamless experience, as opposed to sticking in the headspace of one show for a certain period of time and then moving on to the next thing. So I don't know, I still have to, because I know what all the criticisms are. I have them all outlined. It's just that I need to figure out the best way to actually properly organize them into a cohesive video. I'm still just like, because for Toy Story 4 it's easy. You go chronologically, and then you stop whenever you have a bigger topic you want to branch off into. for covering the entirety of Phase 4 of the MCU. Bit of a different story. I feel like if I go chronologically in the same vein that I have for Toy Story 4, I can't do it all in one video. It's probably gonna, well, I think no matter what, it's probably gonna end up being multiple parts. I just don't know how to best split it up yet. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens, but here's the thing is, I'm also afraid to release it because I feel like since the MCU is constantly changing and breaking every other month, any new addition could potentially invalidate my video in seconds and make things even worse than they already are. So, you know, it's rough to commit to a release date when anything could change at any given moment. Because I don't think that Thor: Love and Thunder... I'm confident that Doctor Strange 2 will break everything, so I'm waiting till after that movie. I don't think that Thor: Love and Thunder will break anything, but you never know. Could assassinate Thor, it could assassinate the Guardians. There's no way to know for sure. The Marvels will probably break stuff, because Captain Marvel already dealt really, really bad damage to the world building. And then there's, of course, the whole retroactively inventing a character that never existed and is so blatantly inconsistent with the world building established until that point. So, you know, there's a lot of things to consider with a video like that. Endgame was the last MCU movie. It concluded nearly everyone's arc and nothing more needed to be made, but money is money, am I right? Yeah, it was never going to be the end. It was never the end game. It was only called that for giving it a fancy, conclusive, come give me your money clicks, or ticket sales rather. But it was never going to be the end. It was always going to continue into the future. It was always going to evolve into a 4th phase, and a 5th, and a 6th, and who knows how many before this thing eventually crashes and burns. But it never will. It never will crash and burn. Because it's too big to fail. MatPat did a great video about this. The success of MCU movies is only beneficial to other movies. If it fails, it will have a ripple effect throughout the entire cinematic industry. It is too big to fail. It'll never stop. Especially because people don't care. People's standards for storytelling are in the gutters right now. So, so long as, like, why would they stop? Why would they stop? What reason do they have to change what they're doing to make something better when clearly this subpar crap is just, it is enough to satisfy people? Why would they change? They have no reason to change. So long as people keep accepting this subpar storytelling, it's never going to evolve. It's never going to get better. We're going to be stuck in this purgatory of hellscape awful storytelling for eternity, and we're always going to be left in the shadow of what once could have been in regards to mainstream storytelling, which is pathetic and awful, but it's the reality we have to live with. It just sucks so much. It's so disheartening to live in a world where that is the state of modern storytelling. I mean, the classes will always be there to look back on, but it'd be cool if we could get some new stuff. Especially because the way Marvel makes shows isn't, I have an idea for a show. It's, we need to make a show about this character that everyone loves. Figure out an idea that will work for it, and then they don't think of it. Especially because I think the script for Black Widow was crapped out in like 10 days or some bullshit like that. So, yeah, they just don't care. They really just do not care. And watching the making of videos for those on Disney Plus have been very enlightening in a lot of instances. It's been very fascinating to watch that stuff. And for some of them, you walk on eggshells when talking about some of the MCU stuff. This is how rabid people are, because people think Endgame's a masterpiece, but Endgame, the stuff that movie does with time travel is irreparable. There is no way to break down that movie's time travel that makes any sense at all. But, like, people, the MCU fanboys are just rabid. There's no other way around it. They're just rabid defenders of this awful garbage. And it's never gonna change. It's never, ever going to change. The people who make really creative talent, or really creative, unique, one-off indie films get buried in the shadows, and concealed by the spotlight that just perpetually shine onto the mainstream stuff because they have a bigger marketing budget, and it's all, you gotta see the hip new Marvel movie or the hip new Star Wars thing, or etc., etc. That's all that's ever gonna be in the mainstream again, because why see something? Why would you, as a writer, put any effort into your script when clearly all it takes to make the big money is just flashy CGI and fast-paced action and a bunch of nostalgia pandering and music that makes you feel the big sad and a bunch of other stuff. Why pay for a good writer? Why take time on your script when it's clearly not necessary to break in the cash that they need? It's just so stupid. Why do I continue to watch MCU movies? I haven't. I stopped watching MCU movies after Black Widow. I only saw No Way Home because I cared about Peter Parker. I have not kept up with the MCU beyond that point. But I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to keep up with the MCU because I'm making a video ripping it to shreds, so it's kind of a necessity. So many good movies that you don't get, why bother watching? I don't, like I said, I'm not watching the MCU stuff regularly. I'm only watching it for the sake of my series. Across the Spider-Verse was delayed. I heard that. I'm not particularly bothered. I don't even know when it was originally going to come out. What was it, later this year? I don't know. I didn't care enough about the first Spider-Verse movie to be invested in its sequel. I'll probably still see it, but I'm not eagerly awaiting it. It was this year? Okay. I had a feeling it probably was. Yeah, well, unfortunate for those who are looking forward to seeing it, but as is the case with every delay, it'll always be to the benefit of the movie in question. Or at least in theory it should be to the benefit of the movie in question. Unfortunately, the more something is delayed, the higher expectations are for it. The more time between releases, the more people's expectations build, the more hype it generates, and the more disappointed you'll be if it doesn't meet your expectations. So it's an unfortunate situation all around. But in theory, it'll give them the time they need to make it exceptional. Although the whole Part 1, Part 2 thing gives me Hunger Games and Divergent vibes, which worked out so well for those movies, so, you know, we'll see how it goes. And still probably I'm going to make a video on the Divergent movies one day, because I really just hate what those movies did to the source material. Both as an adaptation and as a standalone thing, it's just broken fundamentally. So, and that was I've mentioned before, that was originally going to be my first big analysis project, was talking about the Divergent trilogy of movies and how much it just lacks any concern whatsoever for the books that they originated from. That kind of got pushed to the wayside. I just kind of, I don't know, lost time to, I wasn't as adept at making that kind of video as I am now, so it was just it was very time consuming. I didn't really have the passion. Well, I still had the passion for it. The passion for the subject material is still there. It's just not the passion for the actual production of the video that kind of fell by the wayside, but I'm considering giving it a retry one day. Because I still have that script in my computer. It's still there. It would be a shame to put those words to waste, although honestly, it would probably be dwarfed in comparison to my Toy Story 4 series. Or even just my others, like Free Guy's probably a longer video than, nah, maybe. The Divergent one was probably longer than the Free Guy one, but still. I've made much longer stuff since then, so I've gained a lot more experience with this kind of content. So I would probably be more skilled at making it now than I would have been back then. How are the Hunger Games books? They are great. Book 1 is great, Book 2 is great, Book 3 is fine. Same with Divergent. Book 1 is amazing, Book 2 is amazing, Book 3 is fine. Allegiant is probably a 6 out of 10 story, but it certainly wraps things up. Very emotionally satisfying. So if you haven't read the Hunger Games books, I'd recommend giving them a shot. They're really great. And as are the Divergent books. And really, the first 2 Hunger Games movies do a great job of retelling the story of the books in a new medium and changing things when appropriate, whereas Mockingjay, because it's so... Mockingjay doesn't need to be 2 movies. It did not need to be 2 movies. But if you make it 2 movies, then you can drag things out. You can get even more ticket sales because you'll get double the profit from the same one book. But to do that, you have to artificially slow down the pace of the story in question. Excruciatingly so. So, it did not end well. Well, I mean, it clearly did end well for them, financially speaking. It's why Allegiant did the same damn thing, or at least they were going to do the same damn thing, but Allegiant was such a bad movie that they just didn't end up making it. They didn't. Allegiant was supposed to have a second part to it. I think it was going to be called Ascendant or some bullshit like that, but it just never was. Allegiant bombed so hard at the box office that they just canceled the second movie. It never got the part 2 it was originally supposed to. By the way, this is a VR version of Allegiant. I think I played it on the channel years ago. The video's gone. It was a pretty bad video, but I did play it on the channel. It was weird. It's very bizarre. I don't understand why just so much bullshit was radically shifted for no reason at all. And the things, because it's one thing to make changes for the better. For instance, that one scene at the end. I'm so fucking sick of Mario Kart. That one scene at the end of the first confrontation from the It book against Pennywise absolutely should have been cut from the movie, and I'm glad that it was, because there's no reason that I don't know why it was in the book in the first place. So there is room for changing things for the better, and when it comes to adaptations, the fact that things change isn't inherently a bad thing. But when you change when you change something and it makes less sense, you just have to wonder why it was changed in the first place. And hell, you can even have things be radical. For instance, the story of the Sonic movies is not the same as it is in the games, but it still is fundamentally the core. What makes Sonic Sonic is still very much present in those movies. So you clearly can tell that they cared a lot about the source material when they were making those movies. Whereas I don't get that vibe from Halo or the Divergent movies or anything else. The MCU is the perfect a product of the snowballing effect. Bad stuff gets made, people love it, so it makes money. Let's make something in the same kind of way, people love it. Yeah, it's just same shit, different day. They have joke mandates and action mandates. There are scenes in the MCU movies and the MCU shows that clearly do not deserve a joke. They just don't. They don't need to have a joke. But because you gotta keep that snappy humor going, so it's just, you gotta keep the jokes churning. There's a joke mandate for scenes. In the shows, I think it's required you have 2 action scenes per episode to keep the interests going. I'm just so tired of all of it. Zelda's never been ruined, even to this day. The worst game is gimmick heavy rather than character assassinating. Even the worst titles are enjoyable. I don't know much about Zelda, so I can't really comment on that. And yeah, thanks again for the super chats, Russell. Really do appreciate it. I hope Paramount doesn't milk the Sonic movies after 3. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Because were the movies designed as a trilogy, or is it just nah? Because I mean, there's. Because we're already, well, actually no, I was going to say something, that'd be a spoiler. Things are progressing at a very fast pace in the movies, so they're clearly not trying to strictly follow the order in which the games progress through things, so I don't know how much we'll get beyond the Knuckles spin-off show. I imagine they'd love to keep making Sonic movies, but there is a point where, because there's a lot of material to pull from in the Sonic universe. Games, pre-existing shows, there's a lot of stuff to pull from. So they certainly have an abundance of content to adapt, but it's just a matter of whether or not they actually want to do it faithfully. There's a matter of whether they'll be able to maintain the same level of quality they have moving forward. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They're on a roll right now. If they can just keep all the future Sonic movies on par with the quality of the first 2, that's fine. They don't need to be masterpieces. They just need to be respectful, and they need to show. Because when you watch interviews with Jeff Fowler, it's very clear that he does care a lot about Sonic. He clearly has the passion for these characters to want to treat them right. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that can interfere with that, and make it such that that falls by the wayside to other factors. We'll have to wait and see how it all turns out. You hear they want to start a Sonic cinematic universe? I think you mean a film series, because that's what it's going to become. It's just a series of films. I can't really say more without spoilers, but there's definitely ways they could spin things off. But I mean, people like to call everything a cinematic universe nowadays because it's a flashier name, but really it's just a series of films. Because like the MCU is just a series of films. At the end of the day, that's all it really is. But it's a lot flashier and cooler if you call it a cinematic universe. That sounds epic and dramatic and so awesome. Whereas calling it the Marvel film series doesn't really have the same ring to it. Same thing with an extended universe, like the universe in the movies has been extended beyond what we already know. Wow, that's really awesome, dude. So it's just a matter of how you name things that can really change how people perceive them. Skyward Sword is great, so I've heard. We looked at the games, blatant lie. They clearly didn't look at the games. They're eyeing Keanu Reeves or Pedro Pascal. Are they really? I just don't like Keanu Reeves anymore. I'm just sick of it. The story will obviously continue because of the way they ended that movie. It's just a matter of in what format it'll continue. They're not what a Sonic fandom is? Oh. Well, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's a Sonic fandom. I don't even know if they've been discussing that. I don't think they've shared any information on casting for the third movie. Why does everyone constantly suck off Keanu? I'll tell you why. You're breathtaking! You're all breathtaking! He's got that cool guy aura to him, you know, dude? There's that chill, laid back, I'm so cool and hip with the times. I don't care. I'm so carefree moving through life. That's why. That's exactly why. And then when you have things like him saying, you're breathtaking, and I love you, random citizen, it just makes it's very easy to say that. So, that's why people suck off Keanu. But I just don't. It's just been. I've been so annoyed. I'm just so done with it. You didn't like Sonic 2? Thought it was mediocre sequel to a film? Oh well, I mean, so the story overall is like a 6. I think I've said before, the lows are very, very low, but the highs are very, very high. The first movie is also a 6 because it's a more consistently fine film. Like it doesn't reach the heights of Sonic 2, but also doesn't reach the lows of Sonic 2. Where Sonic 2, at least when I watched my investment was significantly lower. I reached a much lower point of investment into the film than I did with the first movie, but I also reached a much higher point of investment to the point where I actually teared up in the final scene. So I guess it's kind of like Endgame, in that the highs are really, really high, and then the lows are really, really low. Namely, in Endgame, when Thor plays Fortnite, or the Cheese Whiz joke, or just anything with Fat Thor, or just the constant comedy and serious moments, or the time travel garbage, or the slow as hell pacing, or anything else. I mean, I could go on all day about the problems with Endgame. But when Endgame is at its strongest, it's very strong. It has extremely high highs, even if it also has extremely low lows. Cyberpunk 2077 is garbage. Yeah, I don't think that was ever in contention. It's a broken game. It should have been delayed, but it wasn't because holiday sales. And now it's one of the biggest disasters in gaming history that they can never recover from. Any attempts they make to fix in the future are beyond repair. It launched, and I mean, even on next-gen consoles and PC, it's already broken. I don't even want to know what it was. Well, no, I know what it was like because I've seen footage on the original Xbox One and PS4. Disaster, absolute disaster is what is the best way to encapsulate what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. Marvel comedy is just not funny. You don't hear what people think it is. There's some jokes throughout some of the movies that work, but recently it's just the problem is that they keep shoving in comedy where it doesn't belong because each movie has a comedy mandate. They gotta shove in jokes where it doesn't belong. So, yeah, that's that. You didn't like the Fortnite scene in Endgame? Nobody did. No one liked the Fortnite scene in Endgame. Except, I guess, people who don't know what... I guess except for people who don't know what Fortnite... Well, who don't play it, who aren't in the game series. And they just like, oh, look, Fortnite, I know that thing. Oh, God, I forgot. Actually, no. Should I tell the story tomorrow or today? Should I tell it tomorrow or today? Because I'm going to stream with Neil tomorrow. Do I tell it? I'm going to tell it tomorrow. I want his reaction to it as well. There's something happened last weekend that I just was reminded of that I'm gonna mention tomorrow. It was... Ugh. You saw a meme that's... Actually, before I start this, is there any interest in doing 200cc? I'm fine with sticking on 150cc. I just wanted to ask, because we did 200cc last time because there was some interest for it. Do we want to keep 150 or we want to do 200? I'm fine with either. Just let me know if anyone is interested in doing 200cc. Don't leave you hanging. Oh, come on. It's just one day. It gives you something to look forward to for tomorrow's stream. $200cc? Well, you just left the game. So, I'm asking the people that are currently still in the game what they want to do. The Matrix 3 is your favorite in the series? I have only seen the first one, and I intend to keep it that way. Especially after Matrix 4. Does anyone in chat interested in 200cc? I need to know now so we're not left in limbo for the next few minutes. Install that one mod, play 999cc? No, absolutely not. We'll not be doing that. Sure, let's try. Anyone else? Already losing all the time, so sure, why not? Alright, let's give it a shot. Why not? Let's do it. You promised me Matrix 2 and 3 are good movies. I have not heard such things. But I also haven't seen them, so I guess I can't really comment on them. That's not a good sign. Don't like that little spinny symbol right there. My favorite Achievements Law 2. I know, you've said that before on the Discord server and in this chat earlier today. Talk about something positive for a change? Man, that's actually harder than you might think, because there's not a lot that's good nowadays. Let's see, what can we think of that was good recently? Okay, you hear that, right? Someone in Discord recently said that they don't hear it when stuff like that happens outside. You did hear that outside, right? I saw the thing peek on the microphone. You did hear that buzzing outside, right? Because it was loud as hell over here. I imagine the microphone definitely picked it up. Positive thing, Tropical Freeze starting on Monday. Yeah. It's been a good time so far. It's been a very, very good time so far. Definitely better than Returns. And I'm hoping that stays that way. The only complaint I have so far is that there's no checkpoints for the bosses. The bosses are great. It's just that they don't checkpoint you. So, it's unfortunate having to play the first few phases over and over again. You heard? Okay, yeah. See, like I said, I imagine it's pretty impossible not to hear the immensely loud buzzing that came from outside. I guess maybe it could have been drowned out by the. It could have possibly been drowned out by the game audio. I don't know how loud the game audio sounds, but it was loud as hell over here. I find it impossible to believe that no one else heard that, but it looks like someone did. So that's what I figured. That's a bomb. Okay, that's nice. Hope they make another Donkey Kong game. I'd be surprised if they did, but we'll have to wait and see. You compares to a lot of the side characters, but for main characters, actually me or Francisca, two characters that we'll probably never see again. I will, if we see Francisca again, I will be stunned. But if we do see her again, I mentioned this in the final part of my Halo Infinite. Really, you took me out of the Mario Kart for you. Take me out of the bullet right as the bomb shows up. That's my fucking favorite, dude. I love it. If we ever see Francisca again, then it better be a surprise. They better not bait her in the trailers like they did for Maya constantly. They better keep that as a surprise reveal. I better not see in the trailers that Francisca's confirmed we're coming back for the next one. There's no faster way to kill hype than to reveal your big character surprise in the trailers for your game. It's a guaranteed way to kill all hype. Which one am I at now? 3. The Bad Guys came out. I've heard it's good. Don't plan to see it, but I have heard that it's good. So, you know, there's that, I guess. I should play Mario Party with viewers. That's a bit of a longer commitment, and less people can play for that. Less people can join at any given time for Mario Party than they can for Mario Kart. How am I doing? I am doing just fine. Dealing with Mario Kart's pain, but I'm playing with viewers, so that's always a fun time. Mario Maker 2 viewer levels could be a cool stream. Yeah, I've considered that. One day I might do something like that. Who knows? You want to see The Bad Guys? I hope you enjoy it. I don't really care about it, but I'm happy that it seems, from what I've heard, it seems to be good. So, hopefully it is good for those who are interested in seeing it. But that's... I just don't really go to see movies all that often anymore. I mean, obviously the 2020 had an impact on that, because I used to be a very avid theater goer. Not because I enjoyed the theater experience, because I just wanted to see movies when they came out, but ever since 2020 happened, my enjoyment of theaters has decreased significantly, and now I just despise going to theaters. Like, it's first movie back in the theaters was Sonic Movie 2 since December when I saw Encanto with Free Up Got 45, and out of the gate, people were chatting up a storm to my right the whole time. So that's just theaters for you. There's nothing you can do about that. People just suck. It's much nicer to be able to watch a movie at home in an environment you can control where no one's going to be bothering you the entire time. It's always much better. It's nothing that I can't replicate at home that a theater can provide, except the annoyances that come from dealing with other human beings and everything else that comes into play with the theater experience. So yeah, that's you've heard my rants about theaters before. They suck a lot. Surprised it's still around, honestly. Surprised I haven't crashed and burned yet. Like this. You're happy Maya wasn't assassinated in Apollo Justice? You could be angry if you knew about it. Well, the fact that she wasn't present for the events is already a stretch, because I don't believe for a second that Maya wouldn't have been by Phoenix's side during the worst period of his life. It's not much that escapes Apollo Justice unscathed. It's just terrible. You watched Sonic Movie 2 with your cousins and they kept talking the entire time and were using their phones looking up spoilers. That, my friend, is called dealing with other people. They suck. A lot. Hey, finally got Yoshi Valley. How about that? They had a big character return in the trailer, most likely to be Gumshoe, not Francisca. I wouldn't like it, even then I wouldn't like it. I don't want them to do that thing for any other characters in the future. Maya's big reveal being put in the spirit of in the trailer's Spirit of Justice is a blatant like, hey, come play our game. You like Maya, right? Well, guess what? Maya's back. You know how awesome it would have been if we got to experience Maya's return in the, well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't have because it's not even a surprise. Like Edgeworth's return in Justice for All is very close to something that's built up and kind of comes when you least expect it. Whereas Spirit of Justice opens with the premise of you're going to see Maya again, and then it takes 3 cases for that to happen. And then they waste her return because they don't do anything substantive with her except make her a hostage and a murder suspect. Again, twice in the same case, actually. So, wouldn't be quite the same thing, but it still sucks that I already knew if you watched the trailers going in, but you already knew ahead of time that it was going to be Maya's big return. So that sucks, and I don't want that to happen. If they bring back Gumshoe or Francisca, I don't want that to happen. I just don't. Out of curiosity, for anyone who watched the trailers for Grace Attorney 2, did they put the first case of the game in the trailer for the second game? Because I wouldn't put it past them, especially given how they advertised the Chronicles this last summer. Was that something that they revealed in the trailer, or was that something that people experienced blinded for themselves? Because I would never want that to be something that was spoiled for anybody. That was one of my favorite moments in the entire Chronicles experience, was that absolute jaw-drop of a reveal. But given how previous trailers have gone, I don't know what to expect anymore when it comes to that stuff. Because people, if they ever make another Race Attorney, there's probably going to be people that are going to be interested in seeing my thoughts on the trailer, but it's going to be hard because I'm not going to want to watch it, because obviously doing that, of course that fucking happened, god fuck. Doing that just puts me in risk of getting spoilers, which I don't want, because people don't know how to make a competent trailer anymore. That blue shell was so damn cheap. Welcome to Mario Kart. You're here forever. Please enjoy. Imagine if Dual Destiny was Gumshoe instead of Fulbright. In context of the story, that would have sucked. If you do that for Gumshoe, you know exactly how he'll act. He'll be a flanderized child who seems like he couldn't even dress himself. He better not be. You don't see the problem with talking about movies while it's happening, if not, so I'm very obviously talking about when you're in the theater with other people who are trying to enjoy the movie and then they're talking the entire time. There's other people around you trying to enjoy an experience. Just, it's disrespectful and inconsiderate to be on your phone the whole time or to be talking the entire time. You knew about Ryutaro beforehand, but you had zeroed that it was that, so it still caught you off guard and surprised you. That's good. You never saw Gumshoe in 3D, you're wondering how it'll look. Well, by now they know how to make good 3D models of the characters, so I imagine it won't be that bad. Like now, by this point, the character models in Grace Attorney Chronicles are amazing, because those games are some of the best in the series, and they're absolutely phenomenal 10 out of 10 video games that are just incredible. So they know what they're doing now when it comes to making 3D models, so it wouldn't really be a problem we'd have to worry about. I'd be much more worried about where the story would go than I would be about the story, because Dual Destiny was a rough transition from 2D to 3D, but by now they know what they're doing with it, so I'm not particularly concerned about the character models and the designs of those things. You hope Gumshoe will get a good new design. I imagine they probably will, like I said. Not concerned about how they're going to visually appear. I'm more concerned with how they'll be written. Because I imagine they've learned from their terrible, horrible mistakes with the abysmal game that is Apologistus. I imagine they'll learn from their mistakes and they won't ever try that again in terms of blatant character assassination. But you never know. At this point, with how crap everything is nowadays, you never know. You never know what can go wrong in any available opportunity. Favorite DreamWorks movies? Probably Shrek. No, Over the Hedge. Over the Hedge is easily the best DreamWorks movie. But of course, Shrek 1 and 2 are solid as well. Megamind is really solid. What else did they make? I don't know. I forgot Rise of the Guardians even existed. How to Train Your Dragon movies are pretty good. Obviously, Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda trilogy is great. How to Train Your Dragon trilogy is great. They made some pretty good stuff. Seem to have floundered about recently, though. Significantly floundered about, in fact. You don't think you can mess up Francisca too much? She hasn't gotten tons of development that drastically changed. I would put nothing past anybody anymore. Did I know that Palpatine's reveal in The Rise of Skywalker was given as a marketing material for a Fortnite fan event? I sure did. Which is really hilarious and stupid. Because Fortnite's a terrible game. But it's the epicenter of pop culture. For some stupid reason. But yeah, I did know about that. Wasn't a part of it because you'll never catch me dead playing Fortnite unless I have to record footage for a video, which, hopefully, I'll never have to do again. Because I don't intend to make another video going over the worst of the worst. So I shouldn't ever have to do that again. So, hopefully that's the last time I'll ever have to play Fortnite ever again for the rest of my life. Because playing it for the period of time that I did was only painful. Who was assassinated worse, Cortana or Phoenix? They're both really bad. Like, they're both just indefensible garbage assassinations. And they're both really, really bad. Phoenix is probably... I don't know. Because it's easy. Picking between Woody and Phoenix is worse because Woody's is never going to get fixed, whereas Phoenix's was fixed almost immediately because they acknowledge how badly we screwed up with a terrible game that doesn't call it justice. Same thing with Cortana, which is why it's a harder comparison, because they figured out that Halo 5 sucks, and then they fixed it in Infinite. So, I'd probably go for... I don't know. I guess Phoenix, because at least people... Because Cortana... Well, depends on how you define it, because Cortana's was such a blatant assassination that only the most rabid defenders of Halo 5 think it wasn't a character assassination. So, it's more blatant in that regard, but also Phoenix's assassination tricked many, many people into thinking it's not, so... I don't know. Nor do I care, because they both suck. Fortnite 6,000 sub goal? No, I'm never doing that. That's not happening. I've already played it more than any reasonable human being should ever have to. I'm not gonna play it again. Well, no, the correct statement is at least we have Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite fixed Halo 5. That's the important thing to take away from that. Palpatine, the cunning strategist and puppet master from the prequels and the original trilogy, just revealed himself, ruining the element of surprise. Well, it's worse than that. He shouldn't be there at all. He shouldn't be alive at all. He died. He exploded once when he was pushed off the balcony, and then he died a second time when the Death Star exploded. He did not survive that. There's no way he ever would have possibly survived that. But they pretended that he did for some stupid reason. Anakin died for absolutely nothing. Oh yeah, Anakin died for no reason. Anakin died, and Anakin's sacrifice is worthless. Really, you can, if you watch the Star Wars movies, you can skip the original trilogy and miss nothing, because they don't matter anymore. Anything that happened in those movies means nothing, because it was all undone by the sequels and then redone because the new characters are so much cooler than the old ones. I love it when new characters are the bestest ever and old characters just suck so much. I love it so much. It's my favorite. It's great. Works in some people like a dude crying his ass out of the Star Wars trilogy because Palpatine came back. Well, I mean, it's fine to get emotional about something you're excited about. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the fact that I don't understand how no one is questioning the logistics behind how he should still be alive, because he died twice. He exploded once, and then he exploded again to make sure he was dead. He died once, and then they killed him again just to make absolutely certain he could not come back. But then it's just... at least there's comedy to be had in The Rise of Skywalker, and that they just so blatantly... JJ almost deliberately reversed every decision that Ryan made, because it's just like, you fucking idiot, how do you dress yourself in the morning when you're this goddamn stupid when you're writing a script? And went on to fix everything that man, well, he tried to fix everything he broke. He tried to give a camaraderie between the main three characters. He tried to make some epic final battle to conclude the Skywalker saga. JJ did try, which is something, I guess, but there was no attempt to be made for the other ones. And hey, The Force Awakens worked on people for a while. For a long time, Force Awakens worked really well on people. People thought that movie was a masterpiece, when it's actually a terrible, horrible movie, very bad film that no one should ever have anything positive to say about ever. So, it works. Works wonders on people. Just jangle the keys. So, Force Awakens is decent. Well, so the problem there is that there's... so much of that movie relies on just things happening exactly when they need to. Characters being... exactly where they need to be at every opportunity. The Millennium Falcon being there, happening to crash land next to Rey. Just so much contrivance running through every aspect of the script. A lot of things about the way that movie functions is broken. Han is just ruined beyond belief. The biggest one might be just the fact that R2 just decides to wake up when the movie runs out of plot. The fact that Luke... granted, this is on The Last Jedi, not Force Awakens, because Ryan's an idiot. The fact that Luke didn't want to be found, but also left a map to his position because writing is really, really hard. And he didn't die? Apparently not. Apparently Palpatine came back because somehow Palpatine returned. I can't believe that's an actual line that was in the film. Somehow Palpatine returned. No one thought that worked, huh? Do I prefer the metric or imperial system? Well, I live in a country that uses the customary unit of measurements, so... but I don't really have a preference either way. Like, I don't care, really. I've probably used those terms interchangeably, just in casual conversation. I don't really have a preference for what measurement system I use. But I live in a country that my standard is going to be the one that is functional in the country I live in. Even Mark Hamill himself hated what they did to Luke Skywalker. Yeah, and then they immediately tried to damage control that shit. They immediately try to damage control because obviously when you have the actor who plays Luke Skywalker who would understand the character, obviously he understands his character, then be like, yeah, you kind of messed up here. Might be an indication that you screwed up colossally and you need to go back to the drawing board and think about what you did. But, you know, it's whatever. I don't care about Star Wars, so I can't be pissed about it. But I can still talk about how none of it makes any sense at all. Because it doesn't. Grant, at least, well, I was gonna say at least the perspective on the sequels has decreased somewhat. Like, the general reception is far less positive than it was originally, but it's still, there's still a group of very, very moronic, brain-dead, avid people that think Last Jedi is a really, really great masterpiece when they're just that, I don't know how you can be that wrong about something, because it just doesn't make any sense at all. It assassinates Luke's character beyond repair. Despite JJ's attempts to fix it in Rise of Skywalker, he tried to do a dual Destinies in Halo Infinite and fix what was broken before, but you can't. Things just are so terrible nowadays. Didn't someone on my Apologists Let's Play defend the sequel trilogy trying to defend Apologists? They sure did. They sure did. I believe it was when we were discussing how the hospital thing, the fact that everything about being able to get loaded guns into a hospital, and I pointed out how that made no sense at all, and the defense was, well, it's magic, so, you know, if it's magic, then he can do he's a magician, he can do anything. And then I just said, yes, it's just like the Force can do anything in Star Wars. And then he said, well, yes, it can do anything. and then you realize that that person has no standards for storytelling, because the Force is just a get-out-of-jail-writing-free card in much the same way that the magic system in Apollo Justice is a get-out-of-writing-free card. In several instances. Har's character development from a smuggler who only cared about money to a heroic rebel general completely gone. Yeah, Han's development was undone. He's reverted back to how he was at the start of A New Hope for no reason. Because you just have to do they do A New Hope again, which means they reverse the state of the galaxy. There is no world building to establish how 6 became 7. The development that is needed to establish a justification for why we went from 6 movies to 7, in terms of what became of the world they fought for, how the First Order rose, what the motivations of them are, none of it gets explained, none of it is fleshed out at all. It's all just so goddamn terrible. And people think that the new shows somehow fix it, but they don't. Mandalorian sucks, as does Book of Boba Fett. And I'm sure the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is going to be just as bad. But because they played Duel of the Fates, like, oh my god, you hear Duel of the Fates? Man, I love that song from when I heard it in Revenge of the Sith. Or sorry, Phantom Menace. I can't wait to hear it again. And it's just like, you're cheating. You're cheating. You didn't earn that music. You did not earn that music. You're ripping it from a better thing, and you're using it for your own stupid show. God, just so fed up with the state of writing in the industry. Because people don't give a shit about writing. Clearly, people do not give a single shit about the quality of how things are written. Just as long as you have the flashy sound effects, flashy space effects, and all that, then it'll win people over no matter what. Because that's all it takes. It's all it takes to win people over. Because all people want is just to see the things they saw when they were a kid, to see the spaceships, to see the freaking sound, to hear the sound effects, to see Luke Skywalker, despite the fact that Mark Hamill wasn't even in the Book of Boba Fett. They just digitally recreated him from AI. They just had an AI try to replicate his voice, which is disturbing and pathetic. And he's even more out of character there than he was in The Last Jedi, believe it or not, because he's so haphazardly gives a fucking lightsaber to a goddamn baby and asks him to make the most important choice of his life because they just don't care about writing anymore. God, it's so bad. Still can't believe that a Star Wars YouTuber called Phantom Menace the best Star Wars prequel and that it was a great movie. I don't engage with the Star Wars fandom, but it doesn't surprise me that someone would have said that. How can people defend Serenade logic? Just desperation. JJ had a fine plot for episode 8, but Rian Johnson fucked it up. Or tore it up. Yeah, so that is the other thing. JJ was handed the script. By the way, I can stick around for one more group of races. We'll go back to 150cc. Just because people don't like 200cc, I guess. And we'll put in some computers just to fill in the open spots. But, they originally had... JJ had the script for episode, or like a draft for episode 8 that he gave to Ryan, and Ryan said, fuck you, and threw it into the incinerator. And then did his own thing, because he didn't care about anything. He just wanted to make his own stupid sci-fi action movie with his own stupid ideas. And no one cared about what happened before that point, just gotta do your own thing. Enjoying his room so far? Yeah. Rian Johnson directed Knives Out, which is really one of your favorite movies. I would need to watch it again. Not again, I need to watch it at all to really give a solid conclusion on it. But from what I've heard, that mystery makes no goddamn sense at all. If I can look at the poster and guess who your killer is, you've got a problem. And from what it looks like I've guessed correctly. So I can play a game as an LP soon where I can confidently say the story was well written. Well, I already played Halo Infinite in December, so that was my one good game for the next 6 months. I've used up that check. I'm gonna have to get another coupon for good storytelling at some point. But as for Rian Johnson's involvement in The Last Jedi, that I have seen and can confidently say that he just made a terrible, terrible movie. Doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to writing. Also, I have PTSD for this stupid course, thanks to Super Mario Kart. All I see is pain when I look at these turns now. And sure, I'm going this way. Why not? Yeah, I've used my one good story per 6 months card. We'll have to wait for a while to get another one. What do I think of JJ? I think he's just... I don't really have anything personal against him, but he sure does like to amp up the stakes tenfold. He can't write a script unless he has a ticking clock and thousands of mystery boxes and action every 5 seconds. So, I don't really have anything personal against him, but I don't really think very highly of him as a director or a writer. So, that's my thoughts on JJ. I also played Race to Journey Chronicles. Yeah, that was my one for a few more months. Then I tore Toy Story 4 to shreds. And then I had to wait a few more months before Halo Infinite came out. And not to wait a few more months before I did play anything else good, I imagine, as well. So. It's unfortunate. It's so much, just so crap. But I guess if I have to pick between JJ and Ryan, I'd pick JJ any day of the week, that's for sure. Not because he's good, but because he's not Ryan. Playing Infinite around the same time as Security Breach was probably a shock to the system. Well, I had already beaten Infinite at that time. I beat Infinite in a week, and then Security Breach came out the day after I beat it? Or was it the day of? It might have been the day after, I'm not sure. Pretty sure... Because I beat Halo Infinite on December 16th. Did it come out... Did Security Breach come out that night, or the next night? I think it came out that night. So actually, I think I beat Halo Infinite hours before I started playing Security Breach. JJ spent half of Rise of Skywalker destroying the Last Jedi, and rightfully so. If I was JJ Abrams, I'd be pissed. If I had made Force Awakens and then watched Last Jedi, I would have been pissed that he just took everything I set up and threw it out the window. I'd have been furious. That's why I would never, if I would ever, I need complete creative control. I don't like leaving I don't like leaving things in other people's hands. Just generally speaking, I don't like leaving things in other people's hands because other people will always let you down every single goddamn time. I want complete control over everything that I have, that I would have a say in, because I just don't, I don't have any faith in other people, just really in general, especially not when writing a story. I would have zero faith whatsoever in other people's abilities to carry on a story I wanted to tell respectfully. So that's why I don't want to get someone to edit my videos for me, because I just wouldn't trust anyone. I'll never understand the mindset of a YouTuber that just, outside of laziness, doesn't want to edit their own stuff, because I want complete control over how my video turns out. There's no way that the Toy Story 4 series would have been able to get done in as efficient of a way as it was, nor would it have been of half the quality as it was if I pawned it off on some random editor. Because I need everything to be explicitly explained precisely the way I need it to. Because it's very visually important what I wanted to say and what I wanted to show. I can't just have some editor. It's because, especially when a lot of the time for other YouTube videos, it's just a webcam half the time, so all they have to do is just zoom in, zoom out every 5 seconds to hold the brain-dead, abysmally pathetic attention span of the average YouTube viewer. Because that's all people do, you just gotta keep zooming in. Because apparently that's how it works, is that if you look at a static webcam, that's boring, but if you zoom in and then zoom out 5 seconds later, then that's captivating content, let me tell you. That's top-tier stuff. That'll keep them coming back. Just so annoying. That's why I wouldn't want an editor. I wouldn't want to leave a project that I'm working on in the hands of somebody else. Ever. For any reason. George Lucas said he only signed over the franchise to make the fans who despise prequels happy, and look how that turned out. There's now thanks to the sequels, there's now a wave of people saying the prequels weren't actually that bad, which is incorrect. They absolutely were that bad. It's just that now we've seen something so much worse that it's made people look back. I hate the mindset that you see something worse and then you're like, oh, well, then the other thing isn't that bad. It's like, no, the other thing is still bad. You've just found something that's worse. Like, zooming in and out makes you want to watch more. You say that ironically, but apparently people's attention span is so pathetic that if you, like, literally all it takes is just look, because if you look at a static image, then your mind can zone out, but if the image is constantly shifting and zooming in and out, then it keeps your brain stimulated and things keep changing and it's so dynamic and awesome and epic and also totally stupid as hell. It's really bad. Do I like George Lucas? I don't really have anything, well, he's responsible for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so I guess not. Steven Spielberg may have directed Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but the only reason why it turned out the way that it did is because George Lucas was the person in charge of the creative decisions for that movie. He said he wanted to do a space movie, like with aliens and stuff, and Steven Spielberg did not want to do that, but he wanted to do what his friend did, which is commendable to a certain degree. And so we got interdimensional beings in an Indiana Jones movie, and it was awful and terrible, and it was the worst movie of the franchise, and one of the worst movies ever made, actually. So, I guess I don't really like George Lucas then. You went to Sonic Hedgehog 2 last night. I hope you enjoyed it, because it's a really, really, really solid movie. You know, it's cool because it moves. Yeah, it's basically, it's just the fact that it moves, it keeps your brain stimulated or whatever, psychological bullshit that it happens. So many YouTubers do it. So many YouTubers do that snappy, cut every 2 seconds thing. It pisses me off. Because it works. Because I can't blame them for doing something that works on so many goddamn people. I'm much more captivated by a video that's just a long cut. Like, Jacksepticeye made a video last December when he got COVID after the Game Awards. That felt very genuine because it was just a long cut of him talking about what's going on. I care a lot more about something like that than I do about something that cuts every 2 seconds to keep it snappy and hip and exciting. So, yeah, that's that, I guess. Revenge of the Sith is amazing. I've heard it's the least terrible prequel movie. That's for sure. George Lucas's great idea and concept, but execution is not the best. But yeah, I mean, so, because I think because he didn't direct any of the first 3 movies, but he was a constant creative input for all of them, which is why the prequels turned out bad, because someone else took his ideas for the original trilogy and made them not terrible, but he was completely in charge of the prequels, and then that's how that became as bad as it was. So, gave us a stupid fridge scene. Yeah, it gave us that too. Just another reason why it's a really bad movie. Episode 3 might be the best Star Wars movie. I don't know. I don't care enough about Star Wars to be emotionally invested in what the best one is. Listen to Full Dolphin Shoals theme on stream? No. I'll listen to it on my own time. Fridge scene, aka should have died this scene. Yeah, he shouldn't still be alive. There's no... I don't know how anybody on that production crew thought that made any sense at all. How's Sonic Heroes? You know the answer to that question. It's Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes is Sonic Heroes. It's the same thing copy-pasted 4 times. Except that it goes on for way longer than it should. And yet I'd still play it any day of the week over Adventure 2. Because I'd rather do the same passable thing again and again than I would do the same broken thing once. That's for damn sure. I just don't ever want to... I honestly kind of want to play Adventure 1 again on my own time. Just because there was a lot more positive in that game than I gave it credit for. Adventure 2 I don't ever want to touch again with a 10-foot pole. Also, Ackman just released a video on copyright abuse to kind of go into what we were talking about earlier. Talking about Quantum TV and his stupid quest to take down the Ackman. Because his ego is fucking the size of Mount Everest. So goddamn, I don't know what the hell's wrong with him. He's so up his own ass with everything in terms of how the copyright system works. He has no right to try to go after the Ackman. He doesn't understand what fair use is. But yeah, you should all go watch that video. I'm sure it'll be great. It's like what you've heard about the episode 5 battle. Everyone should be dead. Yeah, no one survived that battle. No one should have survived. Nothing about that scene should have happened the way that it did. Makes 0 sense. And I'm sure the next action scene will make even less sense. I'm sure whatever happens, be it on Madrigal or Reach, I'm sure it'll just be a splendid time. I can't wait to see the Chief fight Hunters. I can't wait. Boy, you know how excited I am for the Chief to fight the Flood in the Halo show? That'd be great. I can't wait for them to explain the lore of the Forerunners. I can't wait to see how they handle Captain Keyes' death. If they even kill him off, which I somehow doubt. Can't wait to see how they handle Cortana's development. I can't wait to see how they handle her relationship with the Chief. I can't wait to see just how shit this show gets the longer it goes on. Fall of Reach versus the Halo show. Fall of Reach is probably the best book I've ever read. The Halo show is the worst show I've ever seen. So, not even close. How's it feel finally finished editing the secret project? Feels great. Excited for people to get to see it. Thumbnail soon. Hint on Wednesday if no one guesses it. And then the trailer next Saturday. What did I think of the new Lightyear trailer? It looks horrible. Let me tell you a story, Demaster Tony. It's a story about Chris Evans, who plays a hero of 50 years ago, or over half a century ago, I should say, who then wakes up in the future just in time to fight aliens using a mysterious artifact that is found, and then also runs into the granddaughter of the person who he used to work side by side with 50 years ago. Does that sound familiar to you? If so, please tell me what movie I just described. Because I'm not sure if we'll get the same answer. Also, they clearly are going to make fun of everything that makes Buzz who he is. They're going to try to make To Infinity and Beyond someone else's catchphrase. And it's going to be really bad, and I'm going to see it, and I'm going to hate it, and I'm going to make a video tearing it to shreds, because that's what I do now. That's what I do. That is what I do. I'm sure it'll be a very fun time. I'm sure when I see it in theaters, people will be talking the whole time. They'll have their phones on. Someone will probably leave the door open. The light will be shining in the whole time. They might loop the same trailer before the movie 3 times in a row. That happened when I saw Sonic 2. They showed the same trailer 3 times in a row before the movie even started. That was fun. I like that. I liked seeing the same trailer multiple times in a row. If you said the Avengers was coming down, you win the grand prize. Yep. If you think I was talking about the Avengers, or Captain America the Winter Soldier, or Captain America First Avenger, then boy howdy do I have some news for you. I was talking about the Lightyear trailer. Because that's just what that is. It's just the plot of the Avengers and Captain America's story in the Marvel movies, except this time it's Buzz Lightyear doing Buzz Lightyear things. And it just reeks of people who despise the character he's based on. It's not going to make any sense. It's going to be inconsistent with how he's been established to act in the Toy Story movies. And I'm going to hate it. And people are going to love it. They're going to say it's the best Pixar movie ever made. They're going to say the visuals are amazing and the soundtrack is gorgeous. They're going to say Chris Evans is the bestest man on the planet and everyone loves him. They're gonna say that Taika Waititi does funny man Taika Waititi things. And they're gonna say, what are you talking about, silly logical inconsistencies? Who cares about writing anymore? Why would you care about that? It's all about his journey. It's all about the themes and the messages and the visuals and the music and all the stupid, artificial, superficial, garbage level bullshit that no one should care about at all. Maybe something will come out that's good. Infinite Season 2 is around the corner. That'll be good. Despite what people are so determined to believe about it, that was the shortest spell they've ever seen. Of course I hit that. Of course I hit that. That'd be great. Imagine on November 15, 2121. What is wrong with me today? Scenario of Lightyear. I don't think that'll happen. I mean, hey, for those of you who missed it, Brooks was on Discord earlier this week, and he said that he doesn't like Lightyear anymore. And the reason he gave, which was fucking hilarious, is he said that I was on board with it until I saw the stupid fucking cat thing, and now I don't like it anymore. But what his brain can't comprehend is that that stupid fucking cat thing was in the first trailer, which apparently he forgot because his memory doesn't go back that far, I guess. So I just find that really funny. Oh, and about the Halo show episode 5. People are sharing that one clip of the grunt hijacking the Marine, then Chief hijacking the grunts, and they're saying like, this is the actual best thing I've ever seen. And it's just like, what does it take? What did it take for you to wake up and start criticizing something? Journeys and themes do matter, the plot first needs to make sense. Well, we can just stop it there. Themes and journeys need to make sense within themselves. The themes of Toy Story 4 are broken. Woody's journey is inconsistent with... People say... So many people on Twitter today said that Toy Story 4 is like the perfect epilogue for the series, and Toy Story 3 is the end of Andy's journey, whereas Toy Story 4 is the end of Woody's journey. And it just makes you want to bash your brains against a wall. It's just... You start to realize that my series didn't actually do anything, because the masses still think that movie's a masterpiece. So, no matter what you do, you can't penetrate the thick skulls of people to defend movies like Toy Story 4. The people who are writing the Lightyear script are veterans of Pixar. I don't care, because clearly, according to the trailer, that is only an indictment of their skills at that point, because if that is what the veterans of Pixar are capable of up until this point, then I don't want to see what it's... If you told me that it wasn't written by Pixar veterans, I would have believed you. So, it has not impressed me so far, and I can't imagine it getting any better. But, you know, it's Chris Evans, so people are gonna... Man, they just released a reaction trailer, or reactions of people reacting, of Chris Evans, Taika Waititi, and I think Keke Palmer. I don't actually know who the third person was. I think it was her, though. Reacting to the Lightyear trailer, and people were like, oh my god, Chris Evans is the bestest human in the entire world ever, and I love him so much. And it's just like, that's all it takes for you people, isn't it? It's all it takes. It's the same thing with Keanu Reeves. They just plastered Keanu Reeves all over the marketing and said, hey, look at Keanu Reeves. Don't you love Keanu Reeves? I know I sure love Keanu Reeves. He's playing the funny Duke Kaboom toy. That's my favorite. And now it's Chris Evans playing Buzz Lightyear. My favorite. And Funny Man Rockman from such hit movies as Thor Ragnarok and Free Guy is playing unnamed team member number 3 or whatever. You'll admit the prequels are flawed, but you love episode 3 and George Lucas just for themes, visuals, music, characters, and plot. A little strange, a great movie nevertheless. Like I said, I'm not the person to talk to about Star Wars stuff. So let me just check up on the Lightyear movie to make sure I'm correct about who's... Okay. So... Angus MacLane... directed Small Fry, Toy Story of Terror, co-directed Finding Dory, and directed Bernie, which was a short based on WALL-E. It was, and he wrote Toy Story of Terror and Small Fry and Bernie and the writers of it. Screenplay by Angus MacLean. Okay. Oh, and also Jason Headley. What did you do with your life? You wrote Onward. Okay. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, none of this matters because the Lightyear trailer is not in line with the other stuff that they've made previously. Oh, but Minions Rise of Gru comes out this year, so I'm sure that'll be great. Can't wait to see the next Minions movie, because the first one was so good. And that one guy on Twitter whose username was literally Chris Evans fan. Yeah, he was one of the people that just told me on Twitter, is like, guys, it's not the Buzz Lightyear from the Toy Story movies, it's the guy from the movie based on Toy Story. It's like, that doesn't matter at all, but people think it does. People think it does matter for some reason. People think that that's just a get-out-of-jail-free card for any criticism about this movie. It doesn't matter. That doesn't... None of my criticisms are predicated on the fact that he's the Buzz Lightyear from the Toy Story movies, so you're gonna have to try a better defense than that, unfortunately. I also know why so many people think that they're so smart for saying something along the lines of, guys, it's not that complicated. It's just, it's an in-universe movie of Buzz Lightyear. If it's so goddamn simple, then why don't you explain it to me, you idiot? Like, people are really stupid sometimes. People act so high and mighty about the stuff that's really, really easy to understand. No one on this planet is confused about the fact that it's an in-universe Buzz Lightyear. But for some reason, people they just will stick by that one point forever. It's the only thing they can cling on to in defense of it. And you know what? Maybe it'll surprise me. Maybe Lightyear will be a really great movie that I can sing its praises. But I strongly doubt it. And until that day happens, until I'm proven wrong, I will continue to expect that it will be perfectly in line with everything else that they've made recently. Let it die, let it shrivel up and die. That seems to be their thought process when it comes to making these movies. Same problem with Last of Us 2. Yep, you've mentioned Last of Us 2 about 6 million times before. We know. We know about it. We've heard of the horrors of Last of Us 2. And I'm never going to play the first Last of Us because of it. I know, it's just I've said before, when I know how bad a series gets, I have no reason to care about anything. Like, I don't want to get into The Last of Us when I know it's going to, oh, it's still a third lap, great, I can't even count. Of course, awesome. When I know that it's going to eventually crash and burn, I have no reason to get invested in the characters that I know are going to eventually fall. If I knew Zero Escape was going to end the way that it did, I never would have played the first game. And same thing with The Last of Us. I wanted to give the first game a shot forever, but I don't have any reason to do that anymore because I know I know Ellie gets assassinated, I know Joel gets assassinated, I know that they break the world building of the Last of Us universe. So I just don't care to get invested in them anymore. I'm just not gonna, I have a physical case for The Last of Us over to my left because I intended to play the remastered version one day. I really did want to play it, but now I'm not going to, because why would I? June will be an interesting month then. Yes, it will. We're going to get the Cuphead DLC, which will hopefully be good. And then we'll get Lightyear, which will probably not be good. So, be a very mixed bag of a month. Oh, we also get Jurassic World Dominion, which I'm sure will be just stellar. I'm sure that movie will be, because Jurassic World 1 and 2 were just so good, I'm sure it'll be even better. Top Gun Maverick comes out next month. Unfortunately, I don't care about Top Gun because I never saw the first one. Stranger Things 4 Volume 1 comes out next month. Which, I don't know why they're not releasing it all at once, but hey, at least they're not doing what other streaming services are doing and releasing one episode a month because they need to keep people coming back for more instead of just letting people watch at their own pace. And that's about it. I guess another book I want comes out in September. Mission Impossible 7 allegedly comes out in September, I think, after 4 years of waiting, finally. Mario movie. That's something. I'm sure will be so good. Bad Batch, Clone Wars are very good shows. Like I said, I haven't seen them. I can't comment on them. If I know how V3 would have ended, would I have played the other games? No, absolutely not. No way in hell I would have ever done that. Why? Well, I would have never had a reason to invest so much time in probably like 1,000 hours. I don't know how much time I sunk into making my Danganronpa 3 series, but I never would have done it if I knew that they were just gonna say fuck you for caring about our characters and say it's all a TV show. You can bet your ass I would have never in a million years decided to. I never would have decided to make that series because I would have been wasted all my time on something that didn't even matter in the first place. I never would have played Trigger Happy Havoc, or 2, or Ultra Despair Girls. I wouldn't have invested so many hours of my life to making a series about a show that doesn't even matter. And I certainly wouldn't have started V3. I wouldn't have wasted all those brain cells debating stupid Danganronpa fanboys about this garbage writing. Someone... The comments on some of those videos just make you want to... It's so stupid. Is there a problem with a story that has contrivances? Its premise, specifically how characters meet each other? Well, I mean, it would still be a contrivance, but a contrivance to kickstart the story is ultimately fine. It's just you want to try not to have 100 of them. Like, you don't want the premise, you don't want the payoffs of your story to be predicated on luck that things just happen to go right. But, for instance, if someone wins the lottery, that's a contrivance, because it's like, well, you know, it's lucky that this person won the lottery. But one person was guaranteed to do it, so, you know, that's... You're just following the story of the person who won the lottery, and then the story progresses from there on out. So if the story begins with a contrivance, and then the rest of it plays out fine, then that's ultimately acceptable at the end of the day. Saw a tweet saying V3 is the best game ending of all time. I've seen many people say that. I've seen many people saying that. And with that, we've been going for about 3 hours now, so we're going to go ahead and call the stream there. That will be our Mario Kart community stream for the month. We'll do another one next month at some point. And as far as future community streams, you can also mark your calendars for May 7th. We're going to be doing a stream celebrating the launch of Halo Infinite Season 2 that Saturday. I hope Neil will be able to join us for that. And I'm going to see if we can get some other people to join us as well. But yeah, if you're interested in playing Halo Infinite, then you can mark your calendars for that day for when we're going to check out Season 2. And as a reminder, Halo Infinite's multiplayer is free to play, so if you ever thought about giving it a shot but never have, that would be a perfect chance for you to try it out. Okay. I do not need a break. I'm perfectly fine. None of you said anything wrong. No one said anything that pissed me off today. I don't know where that sentiment came from, but I'm fine. I don't need a break. I've not pushed myself like a different Toy Story 4. I'm doing alright. Thanks, though. Halo is extremely fun. Yes, it will. King of the Hill, Last Spartan Standing, new maps, a new narrative event, which I'm hoping lasts more than 10 minutes. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm probably going to make I'll probably cover that as an addendum to my Let's Play. If the narrative events they're adding are somewhat meaningful and substantive, then I will definitely be covering that. You have a thumbnail to look at today? You sure do. You definitely do have a thumbnail. You definitely do have a thumbnail to look at today. So, hopefully you enjoy that, and I'll see you all later for whatever stream comes next. Have a good day, everybody.